Wow. Attempt number 3 this evening to stream. My internet's just been off for the last 48 hours. 48 hours. Well, it feels like that. It was, in fact, 2 hours. But, you know, that's how it is when you lose your internet. Just the smallest, even for the smallest amount of time. Not that I'm saying 2 hours is small, but even if it was a small amount of time, it just feels like forever. That's kind of the world we live in nowadays, right? So, it's exactly 50 hours to go until the release of World of Warcraft Classic. So I thought I'd get into that mood for some grinding, because there will be lots of grinding in 50 hours time. Now, the first bit of news, which is really a bit unsurprising, is that Method have decided they're going to do a world first race to beat up Ragnaros in Molten Core. And they've said they're going to do it within 8 days of the game coming out. Which makes sense. I mean, the fight itself, it isn't hard. It's not hard, and there's no enrage timers on any of the bosses. So it's just about really surviving. But I think it's more to get to level 60 in 8 days and then grind a bit of gear and just have sort of good group setup, you know, tank in each group, even though there's only going to be 2 tanks actual raiding. You know, I think there's a lot of work that's going to go into that. So fair play to them, I say. 8 days is certainly sooner than what I thought. The Hydraxian Waterlords, for example, that's... Okay, yeah, you just, that's it, you just keep fearing me out the door. Just straight line, that's one thing, right? Classic WoW is absolutely unbelievable for. So if you played the game, and let's say you're doing a bit of PvP against a priest or a warlock, and you got feared, like, the number of times you just get feared in a straight line in the worst possible direction. You know, so if you're doing it in a, like a 10-man raid, for example, sort of, well, you know, not really Warsong Gulch, but you're just doing a big sort of PvP battle, you would get feared into the enemy's 10 people, like, all the time. Like, you couldn't run in a worse direction. It's like you were being mind controlled. Hey, why don't you go this way? Because you will surely die in that direction. Craig will be on shortly. He's just polishing off a couple of quests. He's one of those who can't talk and do anything else at the same time. Not a multitasker. To be fair, I tried it the other day and I ended up dying in a poison cloud. I was paying that little attention to what was actually going on in the game. Awkward. But here we are. So, you know, generally I just run around, pick a few herbs, do some quests. So I've got to hand my seekers in, right? Then we have to go to Najatar. Yeah, I'm not in a group anymore. Yeah, I'm not going to do the old dagger quest. Any other easy quests we can just do here quickly? I'm sure there are. But it's fascinating because you basically got 3/4 starter zones for the Alliance. So you've got the Night Elves, which is an awful starter zone. It's miles from anywhere else. Well, civilization. The quests are just some of the worst quests you've ever seen. And it takes you a good couple of hours to reach Stormwind or Ironforge from there, so, or Civilization, as we like to call it. Then we have the Gnome starter zone, which is kind of very similar to the Dwarf starter zone, very close to each other. But it's just basically an inferior version of the Dwarf starter zone. And then you have the two good starter zones. It's almost like Blizzard when, okay, most people are going to be playing Dwarf or Human, which I don't think is the case. I mean, I think there were a lot of people who picked Elves because Elves are cool, or at least they were 15 years ago. They're pretty lame nowadays. Because the Human starter zone is great. It's great. You get to beat up some wolves, get to beat up a few bandits, and then you get to fight Hogger. You know, you go outside, you get to fight Princess in the farm with her porcine entourage. You just get to do so much. Lots of memorable fights, lots of memorable places. Darkshire, Lakeshire, Westfall. Some great dungeons. Well, great dungeons and the stockades. Well, great dungeons and the stockades and Gnomrigan. Actually, no, I think that was a bit unfair. I do have a soft spot for Gnomrigan. But it's definitely a place I will do once for old time's sake and then never return. But I think a few of the other dungeons I'll definitely want to do a few times. So I'm going to be probably maining a warrior, which is different for me. I played a paladin last time. So the question is, what do you want to have on your main character? Now, warriors very often went down the sort of the mining and blacksmithing route. It's a PvP server. Maybe you want gnomish engineering. Or goblin engineering for that rocket pack. Really depends quite how much PvP is going to happen, right? Whether we're going to be just focusing on the PvE content. I think mining gives you a stamina boost. So every single profession in the game has like a raw stat or, you know, attached to it. The Alliance are attacking. Is that this guy? Yep, Gornug the Cursed. It certainly is. A swift killing. Now, it could also be that I take mining and maybe skinning and just level up with those two and just hold on to all the stuff I pick up from mining and then drop skinning at a later date, and then if I decide to do blacksmithing or engineering. I think I want to do engineering just because it's so much fun. Like, I loved making the mechanical chicken and just like setting the mechanical chicken on low level players. That was, oh god, that was hours of entertainment. It never got fun. You craft this chicken, and the chicken was like your level. So you just went to low level zones, released the chicken, and watch it kill the low level players. It's just the same. The cooldown on it, I think, was something really bad, like 10 minutes. How dare you dismount me? Look at that one hit, bam. Oh, that's arcane mages for you. Several Azerite wounds. Now, I think it'll be quite hard to PvP on the Alliance. You know, I mentioned this before. I think we'll be somewhat outnumbered. For world PvP anyway, I think obviously the Battlegrounds will probably be absolutely fine. But I think what's going to happen this time around is a lot of people will pick the perfect class, won't they? That's the plan. So for people who want to min-max, if you're playing a warrior, like an orc warrior is particularly good because you've got the bonus to axes. But for PvP, likewise, you get a free trinket if you're human. So you get, you know, the 2-minute racial trinket. Undead get a fear ward. Humans get perception though, which is also very important for those pulling out those sneaky rogues. And the thing is, it really does work. Like, it's not like a casual. It's not like a casual thing. It's like you hit the perception button and just rogues pop up everywhere. Now, I'm sure I might be remembering this wrong. I think it used to be a passive at some point. I think it was just like always on, and you could just detect rogues better all the time. And I think maybe at some point they changed it to something you activate to increase your detection for, you know, 8 to 10 seconds. That's the thing about classic WoW. You do forget how everything was done back then. Sneaky skelly bobs. I'm just around here picking herbs. Leave me alone. My biggest concern, of course, right now is that I won't get any sleep. So, you know, the game's getting released at 11 PM. Now, I've had a chat with Craig about this in the past, in that obviously when the original classic WoW came out, you pretty much couldn't get on the servers for a whole day. It was just server queues constantly. So he's like, is it worth it staying up to play the game as it comes out, when in all likelihood nothing like moving servers to where the boss is dead? Is it worth it trying to log on at 11 PM and potentially just being disappointed as you do nothing for a couple of hours other than look at a login screen that's not letting you in? Wouldn't it be better to just go to sleep, wake up at 7 in the morning and play then? At which point the starter areas aren't as busy and you can be a lot more productive with your questing for that reason. But in all likelihood, I think you have to be there right at the start, don't you, if possible. I mean, they are gating the initial zones, so it won't be like absolutely everyone in the same place, which in a way is a little bit of a disappointment, but I understand why, because it puts massive amounts of stress on the servers.
Even the most stalwart soldiers waver when their officers are cut down in front of them.
The Siege-O-Tron.
This mission is refreshingly simple. There is a dangerous enemy here. Kill it.
Let's just beat him up. Oh. He's about to die. Glad I just got my hit in time there. Oh. Oh, I thought my internet had gone down again there because there's some kind of strange, mysterious wall here. Look. I can't run past it. I don't know, it's there going, oh well, I guess my internet's just dropped again. Thanks for that. See, look, what? Invisible things. Very, very weird. We're going to skip the blight because it's tedious. Our enemies be here, mon. Quick skipperino of that. So I kind of wonder what most people did, you know, in vanilla. There were definitely more Alliance and Horde. And I definitely got the feeling there were more humans than anything, though I would imagine Night Elves would be second. And then in third place would be female gnomes with pink hair tied in bunches. I was like, oh yeah, if people played a gnome, it was always female, pink hair, tied in twin tail bunches. Guaranteed. If somebody was playing a gnome, that's what they had. SI7 assassin, you're not a very good assassin. Now what's pretty awkward for me at the moment is my gaming mouse is being a bit fidgety, so I've switched to the backup mouse for a couple of days. And this mouse doesn't have any buttons on the side of it. So this is the one I should be using. Oh boy. It's got a bit dusty, and it's one of the Razer Naga mice, and it's got all the buttons down the side. It's just being a bit temperamental at the moment. And my backup mouse doesn't have that. So I'm hitting invisible buttons to try and ice block and blink, and it really is kind of weird how your muscle memory betrays you on an almost daily basis when you change anything at all. To the ship. We must burn all the things. Well, steal all the things. Steal your battle plans that are just casually strewn about everywhere. I'm having to manually click the blink button rather than use one of the buttons that I would normally have assigned there. It does feel really weird. So we're gonna... Oh, really? Really? You're just gonna slow me down for no reason? What are you even doing there? Why would you, who was stood there, be going for me? Like, everyone else runs past, and you ignore them all, and then you're like, you! I must slow you down with my spells. I feel discriminated against. That's kind of how I feel about Classic WoW in its entirety, from start to finish. Just discriminated against. No matter what happens, it's always the worst possible outcome. Now, I know there's some books around here. There's one. And there's the other. Excellent. I like how they force you to use the rope to go up there. Like, you actually can't just fly up there on your flying machine. They're like, oh no. No, that would be very improper for you to use your flying machine to fly up there. Here, take this rope. Much more efficient. Actually, I'd just like to, you know, fly up there. Does it really matter how I get inside the place? Now, I'm imagining that if people, well, the people who pick Alliance, I think we're going to see more humans than anything because of, you know, the racial, just like the free trinket on a 2 or 3 minute cooldown. I forget which it is. Because it's a PvP server, that's, you know, a lot of people are going to want that. So I think you're going to see a lot more humans than anything else on the PvP servers. On the Horde side, it might be undead. They have, like I said, quite a good racial with the Fear Wards. And the underwater swimming is quite handy. And the scavenging, where you can eat corpses to get health back, it can be okay. You might see a few warriors. And you might see a few Taurans, certainly for the Does Classic still have the rep bonus for humans? Yes, it does. And the 10% cultist is actually relevant, certainly if you want to grind Hydraxian Waterlords to do Molten Core, or if you, in the later patches when AQ comes out, you're going to be in Silithus, and you're going to need a lot of rep from that place. So the 10% is like a massive boost. So again, that's another reason for picking humans, really. I know Craig desperately wants to pick a human as his mage, but he's playing a priest, so he has to pick dwarf for the Fear Ward. Now, the rest, the other priests get Fear Ward, but on a later patch. I'm not sure. I think it happens around sort of next Ramis time. You know, so it'll be like the 4th or the 5th patch of the game. So he might, if there's the option to, he might do a race change to human at that point, I suspect. But yeah, the 10% boost is certainly quite nice to reputation. Now, if I could take blacksmithing, so if Craig's taking mind control, and that way we can go do some of the dungeons, and you know, there's that one boss, isn't there, or there's that one mob in Blackrock where you have to actually mind control the blacksmiths and then learn the recipe, the blacksmithing recipe off the blacksmith, which is incredible. You know, we talked a lot about this a few days ago. Like, some of the stuff the designers came up with was just ridiculous. Like, the whole concept of mind controlling a mob. I suppose this came from D&D. So, like, if people played D&D and they did their D&D campaigns, there was an ability called Charm, so you could charm enemies and then make them do your bidding. Or you know, it varied. It could be just like from persuasiveness to outright full-on blown mind control. So it's possible that the WoW devs got that idea to have a pack that you could mind control and then learn the recipe from. Though I think you still have to pay for the recipe, I think. Which seems a bit silly. They should just give it to you for free. I mean, you're mind controlling them. I can't imagine them, like, you mind controlling a mob and then going, oh, that's gonna cost you. I'm like, I'm mind controlling you. You're gonna give it away for free. Eh? But I'm sure it's like a vendor that you have to purchase it from. You know, surely he should just give you all of his cash as well at the same time. Oh, by the way, I've already sold this recipe about 30 times today. Here's the rest of the cash. But I mean, the mind control falls off and you just kill him anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that'd be fun if you forced the blacksmith to buy the recipe, and then you killed the mob afterwards and you took the blacksmith's money and went, no, you're not having it back, this is my money now. How rude. As a court says, I'd really like to do Dwarven Priest again, but that single racial bonus makes me question that. Dwarven Priest is very nice. You know, the Fear Ward, if you plan on playing on a PvP server, is pretty important, but the reputation boost, especially when, like, a bunch of recipes are... Oh, it's Cloud Snape, run away! It's this guy's like he's just a tough mob, and there's no point to killing him, so we'll just run away from him. Yeah, there's a bunch of recipes that are basically gated behind reputation. So being able to get to those recipes 10% quick is pretty important. Pretty important. But I think this time round we are going to be making... Oh, I'll just hit the ice block button for no reason. A concerted effort to get our stuff together. You know, it's like we don't need 7 enchanters. So we're going to let Craig have enchanting, and we're just going to feed him all of the materials so he can get his skill up. And we're also going to be sharing gold anyway, completely. So there's no point. There's no point sort of rolling him on a blue just to vendor. I mean, that was the horrible thing, wasn't it? You know, people, it'd be like a blue staff would drop, and these things go for like mucho money, and everyone's poor, and people are just rolling on it because they want to vendor it for cash. All about the cash monies.
The blood trolls continue their attacks on Kragwa, cut off their supplies, and make them pay dearly for their assault.
It's a shame that I think the Void Elves were only introduced later on, because they had a really nice racial with the access to the mailbox for 3 minutes on like either a 15 or a 20-minute cooldown or something, because you will run out of backspace. Did I say backspace then? You will run out of backspace. This is the other thing that happens. You go off to do a quest, and then you just start seeing herbs, and before you know it, you're about 2 miles away from where the actual quest is, because you're running in the wrong direction picking herbs. But yeah, you're going to run out of bag space so fast in the game. I'm really hoping for one of those Journeyman's backpacks to drop 16 slots. It's just like manna from heaven, really. And there's going to be a lot of cash to be made selling the old 6-slot bags. Oh, well, how rude! Dismounting me after 1 hit. Yeah, I remember that. You learn tailoring, and you can make like 6-slot bags almost straight away, and you're just there crafting away. Free 6-slot bags for everyone. Let me give you permission to post a link here. Just have to...
You continue to prove your worth. Well done.
If I can find the option. Or I could just disable the Streamlabs guy. Ah, there we go. I can see. Ah, okay. You weren't posting a link. You typed graveyard.tha, and my add-on decided that was a link. Awkward. Please refrain from not leaving a space after a full stop. So you say, what is the worst thing going to be playing Classic? I'm thinking the hideous res point placements in Darkshire, and that elite mob walking the graveyard. Oh, the elite mob was tons of fun. Stitches, his name was, I believe. I mean, that was, again, it was the whole sort of human questing from start to finish was great because of that, you know. Just accidentally running across him in the street and, well, on the road, and just getting murdered if you weren't paying attention. Yeah, and that was the other thing, because the road, like, you're taught up to that point that the road is like your safe space. If you stay on the road, there are less mobs here. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll just go AFK on the road. And then this big undead lumbers over and just smashes you into the ground. But I think he doesn't spawn until someone is at the relevant part of the quest. Therefore, if you play right from the start, no one should be spawning him that quickly. So you might not see him until it's time to spawn him for yourself. What do we have over here? King Clicky Clack. No actual cash money quests though. It's all about the cash money at the moment. Yeah, we've got unshackled missions to do, haven't we? Ah yes, more Ladim. Yeah, he's also in Darkshire. He's at the end of a different quest chain. And he's actually probably, other than the invisible mobs in Darkshire, he's the toughest mob. And you're like, what do you mean, invisible mobs? Well, if you go to the graveyard in Darkshire as a warlock, and you cast Detect Invisibility, in the graveyard there are a bunch, and I mean quite a few, of invisible level 51 mobs. And it's a great way of farming your shards if you're a level 60 warlock, because they're 51, so they're, you know, high enough that you'll get a shard off them, and they're obviously low enough that you can easily kill them. So, like, if you ever want to win, like, some pub quiz or some bet with your friends, just, you know, make them a bet and say, what is the highest mob, the highest level mob in Darkshire? And they will go, haha, Mordladim, he's level 25. And then you win all their money, because you're like, no, there's actually invisible level 51 mobs in Darkshire. Haha, but must pick all the herbs. So in current WoW, every single one of my characters has herbalism. And then obviously one character has alchemy. But every character has herbalism, and the idea is to basically funnel all of the cash, or all of the herbs from all of the characters, to my alchemist in order to make lots of cash money. And I'm kind of looking forward to that in Classic as well. Namely, playing the auction house. Playing the auction house is always fun. Adds an extra element to the game, I find. You gonna spawn? Come on, Mr. Mob. Bonebreaker son. While I'm trying to dodge these invisible pew-pews. Look, there's definitely a quest here. Are you going to spawn at some point? Do I have to click on something to make him spawn? No. But he should be spawning here. Why is he not spawning here? This is an outrage. Oh, here we go, yeah. Yeah, he finally decided to turn up. Very nice of you. I'm too lazy to actually move out of the way here. Barely deal any damage anyway.
To serve my will.
No, it won't. There we go. Finally out of combat. Takes its sweet time getting you out of combat in this game. Time to put my synchronous thread to good use. Mend the time rift. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I tell you what won't be fun, and that'll be doing Stranglethorn Vale and collecting all the pages. Oh, is that not fun? Collecting all the pages to the Stranglethorn book. And tried to trade them, and then people going, no, no, my page 37 is worth more than your page 11. Even though I'm fairly certain they all have absolutely the same rarity. Oh, nice easy one for a change. Yes, your unbreakable lock was far too good for me. Now quickly rush to the herbs before they despawn. Must pick all the herbs. These herbs are particularly good, the Zenithid. 27 gold each, and you get 4 each time, so it's just like 200 gold I've just picked there. If only the gold was that easy in classic WoW to pick. I just got defeated by a branch. This branch here. The game just went, no, this is a solid object. You will not pass. I'm like, I'm in a big flying goblin-fueled thing, and this tree branch, I can't smash through it. Eh? Okay. I guess you win. Oh, herbs. Yet more herbs. And yet more herbs. So I'm looking for something around here. Something on the floor. Is this it? No, I've got a cone shell. Do not need another cone shell. It's going to be one of those fallen pine cone needles, isn't it? Oh, no, that's another cone shell. Oh. When my hand gets lazy, it just kind of leans on the spacebar, which is the button I've got set to ice block at the moment. I do it on pretty much every hour of every day that I play this game. Like, please rest your thumb off the spacebar. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything around here. I'll have to come back to that later. Aha. I need one of these. Oh, in fact, I need 3 of these and 5 of these. Yeah, so getting back to classic WoW, I'm going to be trying to level up along with Craig as fast as possible. We think we'll do quite a good job of it, because if I'm tanking and he's healing, we just need 3 random schmoes for DPS. And when you do just need 3 random schmoes, you can be pretty picky and choosy about who you take. You know, if you're a random DPS, you kind of have to go with whatever tanks and healers you can find, and they might not even be very good. But when you are the tank and the healer, well, there's just DPS everywhere. So you can take a mage because you need that polymorph, and you can take a rogue because you want someone to be able to open the chests. And if they're a rogue and they haven't leveled up lockpicking, then what's the point? There's no point at all to them. That's the only reason they're there, to pick open those lock chests. Nope. Nothing up there. The darkness awaits you. Yeah, it is pretty grim down here in general. So we need 3. Oh, that was it. Yes, the fallen kelp bud, wasn't it? Oh, I see one over there. If I can get out of combat. If this game will let me out of combat, I guess I'm going to have to smash the invisibility button. Now, luckily, invisibility worked there, but it's been doing this a lot. There's been a bug where invisibility just immediately brings you back out. And doesn't actually turn you invisible. Well, it looks like somebody else looted that thing. It was you, wasn't it? It was you right there. You looted it. Yeah, this is Blizzard's idea of fun at the moment, making you do a treasure hunt. Oh no, you're not gonna make me jump, are you? 3 prismatic mana pearls to save Tickles? Maybe.
Your refusal to bend the knee offends my subjects. This one wishes to teach you proper respect.
Is he a multi-boxer? Yep, that's definitely a multi-boxer. Boomkin multi-boxing. Let's just watch him go to work here. That's what we need for classic, isn't it? Just like... oh! Oh no! No! One of the multi-boxers has died. Ow. I'm going to hide over here. Yeah, it's really bad. Oh no, 2 of the multi-box. 2 of them have died. Oh, it's so awkward to have to run back for them. Hooray! Then they all release at the same time. Poor Boomkins. Ah, yes, Nickel Queen. Yes, I remember. I did ask you to follow a long time ago. How is Tezel these days. That's what we call this, isn't it? That's what the cool kids call it, Tezel. The Elder Scrolls Legends. Very good card game. If I wasn't already playing Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone right now, I'd still have time for it. I haven't been streaming as much recently, but I'm very much excited for the release of classic World of Warcraft. I'm not sure if excited is the correct word. Maybe intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued by the game. I reckon it's going to have a couple of solid months play for me. Am I out of combat? No, apparently invisibility has not worked again. There we go. Right, so 10 pearls, gotcha, and save tickles. Oh, where's he going? You're going completely the wrong way. Come back. You'll never make it. Like, there's no way I'm actually bouncing on these things. Hey, first time. Did not make a fool of myself at all. So this was fairly unpatched. When it first came out, it was pretty impossible to actually do that quest for the first couple of days. Now I have to find 10 pearls in the water with my terrible eyesight. Shout if you see one. Oh, no, that's it. I was like, it's a pearl! And it's just a little teeny tiny crab. You're not a pearl. You're a pearl. There's one. Here's another one. You know, people complain about the quest, like, you know, to kill 20 boars and stuff like that, but surely killing boars is preferable to running around trying to find pearls. Any more pearls? Any more pearls? Any more pearls? Like, get to 9 pearls, find no more. So, into the other pool. I imagine there'll be some over here. There's one. If these Naga will leave me alone for long enough. Aha, there's a pearl. Lovely.
What's mine is yours. I'll see what we can scrounge together.
Yeah, we'll go do that one. Ooh. I suppose we'll do this on the easiest mode, just get the quick rep boost. Since I don't have any of the activators. Yeah, it's very easy when you don't activate any of the runes. Be a nice easy 500 rep, I believe it is. Yeah, 500 rep, there we go. What do you think is the best profession for a second bank character? For a bank character. Well, I think if you're going to make a bank character, you probably want to make him a mage before you even look at professions. That way you can sell portals on the side for 1 gold each. Sell portals to other cities, that's always popular. And then profession wise, probably tailoring. Tailoring's a good one because it's kind of passive. Like all of your other characters will pick up cloth. Therefore you can have tailoring on your character and not really have to do anything with it. You don't have to move them about the place. You will also be able to craft bags to put in to have on your character. So you've got actual room. But on the most part, we shall be mailing items to each other. Yeah, enchanting's not bad. But the problem with enchanting is that there's a lot of enchantment recipes that are in dungeons. So, like for example, you've got to go to like Scholarman's and Stratholme to pick up some of them. So you won't be able to do any of the good recipes, so you'll be wasting a lot of mats. Leveling him up, but if you just want him for disenchanting, then that's fine. You know, if you just want him for disenchanting greens and nothing else. But if that's the case, you'll be able to get him to about level 75. I think it's either 50 or 75. You can level up enchanting just from disenchanting, and then you actually have to be casting some enchantments. But there's not that many to choose from, though, are there, really? So enchanting might still be the best one. Ooh. More herbs. I saw a herb. Thought my mech was too fat to get out the door there. What do we still need from round here? We're not going to bother with that Naga quest. Aha, the fallen kelp bud, pile of flotsam and sticky seaweed.
One thing I've learned about dealing with Naga, it's that you have to strike decisively. Let's get to it.
I really hate this about Toki. He says, let's get to it. He doesn't do anything. He's like, let's go beat up some Naga. And by we, I mean you. F you, Toki. Do some work yourself. You lazy mooching bum. You know, then we'll kill all the Naga and he'll be like, we sure showed those Naga. You did nothing. Get out of here. Aha! Pile of flotsam spotted. Ooh, another pile of flotsam. This one's going to summon less Murlocs, though. What is your view on fishing and first aid? First aid's really valuable on PvP servers. Like, you absolutely need to have first aid. Because you will be bandaging it quite a fair bit. Certainly I will as well as a warrior. Like, I'll be doing it all the time because I'll never be able to get out of combat to actually eat some food. Fallen kelp bud, sticky seaweed. Well, the seaweed's down here, so the kelp buds will be over there. Fishing. Fishing's alright. It's something to do for, you know, 10 minutes while you're waiting for the rest of the group to reach you. And if you're a hunter, you know, you definitely need fishing because you may end up with a pet like a crab or something that eats fish, so you're going to have to feed it. Otherwise your pet will get sad, and then it will leave you if it gets sad. A lot of hunters are in for a big shock when they realise they have to buy arrows, and they have to keep their pets happy, and each time their pet dies it gets sad. But it is pretty realistic. It's like, my pet is sad, give it food. It's like, yes, animals you can just bribe with food. That is how it works. Just like real life. There he is. Try and get out of combat here. Solo this guy down. Because I'm an arcane mage. And that's what I do.
Button 1, button 2, button 1.
That's why I play the class. Simple and easy. Occasionally button 3 when your proc goes off.
Yeah.
Fallen kelp buds down there, and so will the sticky seaweed. Oh, I've got the sticky seaweed, just the fallen kelp bud it is then. Distracted by herbs. Why did I put herbs in this game? Just there to stop me from doing work. What about pally buffs? Well, pally buffs are every 5 minutes, and you need that item to cast them, isn't it? What's it? Something of kings? Symbol of kings, is it? To cast a pally buff? Craig's in his own little world again.
Sorry, holy... I had holy candle, was yours holy symbol?
Yes, you had the candle, didn't you? Yeah, as a priest, yes. Yeah, it was some kind of symbol.
I don't know what it was. I was just bemoaning the fact that at least I only had to use it once for the raid. You had it for everybody.
Yeah, every character needed their own, and they were all on a 5-minute fall off. I think ours were cheaper, not that it's any kind of compensation, because we after you'd cast it many times, it was more expensive.
I'm trying to remember what point it were in, because it did start off as single even for me, and then they made it group, and then they reduced the cost, didn't they? But yeah, at the very beginning, it was...
Ah, yes, for Paladins, it was originally single cast, then they changed it to class cast.
Yes.
I'm sure. So it was like you would put a certain... So like all the priests would get, you know, wisdom. Blessing of wisdom.
Yeah.
I'm sure they changed it that way. But I'm sure the version that we'll get at the start of the game will be single cast.
I'll have to have a look because I know we're not right. I mean, there are some.
No, there's one. We're one patch in, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we are playing with the rules that polymorph lasts 12 seconds and not a whole minute.
Yeah. So there, yeah.
Oh boy! And because Rogues had it as well, didn't they? With not with Sap. What's the other one? They
had blind, sap.
Yeah, there was a blind that or a disorientate that had did it for 45 seconds.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I know there was some talk about obviously getting rid of all the chain at that point. And the interesting discussion was they're going to disable the looking for group add-ons.
Yes.
So no cheating. Which I thought, yep, I can do that. Yes, your actions count.
Yeah, and everyone was in full support of that. So basically, somebody had written an add-on that turns the chat channel into a looking for group thing. So basically, what this app does is it scans the chat channel and converts all of the chat messages into requests for groups from people. And then brings up a menu of these people, and you can just request you click on them, and it sends them a whisper saying, "Please invite me. I are top hunter." So yeah,
and
we'll be having none of that.
Yeah, so it wasn't in the spirit of the game. Yeah, quite right.
Now it still might happen, but it could be external. Like, potentially, somebody could create...
well, they had the old one. Yeah, they had Open Raid and other such add-ons where you signed up on the website.
Yes, exactly.
External to the game.
I'm thinking, yes.
Which, to be fair, I've used Open Raid many times, and Open Raid has a rating system. Mm-hmm. So again, the same part, which is that your actions count. And it's my idea here that the weakness of that particular add-on that we talked about there in-game was... initially there was no real rating to it, so you literally would put 25 players together with very little kind of idea of how good, bad, or they were. It was just a convenience tool for when there was nothing else of its kind, and it kind of took over to a certain extent. But very early on, where it came down to was simply players making their own groups, and if you are a bad player, well, you didn't get invited back next week. And those were the groups that then progressed to doing the kind of pug content inverted commas that existed back then.
Good. Yeah, so I think what will happen is we'll turn into... I think WoW Classic will become reliant upon Discord. It will be simply, if you want to form groups, join this Discord, and then you can all be in the chat channel there. Because the problem, of course, with the regular trade channels are just the spam.
Yeah.
So if you can have something just for groups, dog.
And it's a nice one, really, that it's much more mainstream, because it was quite common back then that you use voice comms, and 2/3 of your group wouldn't have a microphone. Or girls, whatever the excuse was.
Well, the girls didn't want to talk because they just got harassed. So even if they had one,
that was it.
Yeah.
Groups for loot. Yeah. Well done. Congratulations.
Disenchant some stuff. But yeah, of course, everyone's. Well, you like to think everyone's got a microphone nowadays.
It's the odd one now, but I think it's a lot more prevalent. Even if you nick it from your kid's Xbox.
Well, they shouldn't be using it anyway.
Good to meet you.
All they're going to do is complain about you anyway on it, aren't they?
It's true.
Call other people noobs. Always like that. Some 9-year-old kid on Xbox calling people noobs. Like, wait a minute, you're 9 years old.
It's even more fun. My 6-year-old's playing games at the moment and thinking, if you've been insulted by my 6-year-old, things are bad.
Why is she bad?
She's okay, obviously, because she plays the 12-year-old brother. But again, you can see some of the online thinking. You obviously don't realise you're playing against a 6-year-old girl. Yeah. Obviously, I moderate, kind of what she does and kind of her access to the outside online world. But you think there are some actions you're like, people haven't learned just how anonymous the internet is.
As a kid, I used to love playing pool. In real life, whenever sort of the family went out to a pub or something for a meal or something like that, any kind of place with a pool table, I'd just be playing pool, and all the adults just refused to play me. Not necessarily because I was better than them, but because they might lose to me, because I did like pool, so... And it's one of, like you said, it's one of those things. If you're playing against a 6-year-old, you can't win.
Yeah,
it's impossible to win. You're against a 6-year-old. You're meant to smash the 6-year-old, but then there's that chance things will go very badly for you.
Yeah.
So I am almost at my next WoW token. Yeah.
I'm just getting ahead of all my weekly chores ready for Tuesday.
You're not just going to let them lapse completely? You're still going to keep up with them every week?
Well, no, I will obviously do my mythic heroic raid bit and my mythic dungeon, and that'll be about it. I think I can let mech
yes,
go on laps, and I can let Nazjar laps. I've got everything I need from there, really. And won't bother with, obviously, conquest and stuff. Thing is, knowing that there's going to be no kind of raid content in 8.25, so it's 8.3, which will be some way away, other than making sure that my character is geared ready for whatever that will be. And I'm kind of 95%. I'm only at that point now where again, look, I'm hunting for Titan Forge in raids. It's just... But it's also good to keep the handing, because obviously it's kind of reminding that Classic will be fun or nostalgic or what, like you said there, not necessarily good, but interesting for a period of time, and then people go, oh, hang on a sec. There's a reason why the game changed as much as it has done.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to making your own entertainment, doesn't it? WoW Classic has always been about the people you share that experience with.
Absolutely. It's the social side of it, because the game was not very player-friendly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be social, because you're stuck with each other for such long periods of time, waiting, for groups and stuff like that to form.
Yeah. And more importantly, hoping that neither your tanks nor your healers went offline, because replacing those was a nightmare. You can lose random DPS, they can be replaced, that's fine. But yeah, I looked up, because there are various rather badly written guides on where I had. Again, the quickest classes to level up.
Yep.
So second from bottom was Warrior, alone. And then bottom was Healing Priest, alone. Yeah, there's a point there, but obviously those characters generally don't level alone.
I mean, Warrior, you were just eating food after every second fight. And that's the thing, I'll be giving a lot of cloth to you, but damn it, I need my bandages as well. Yeah.
The thing is, if you need bandages, I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah, but
not until we get into dungeons.
There, it's like in PvP, it's like you need those bandages. Damn it!
Oh yeah. It's like, okay, beat him off. I'm getting beaten up by a rogue. That's it. I saw someone talking about the kind of racials and things, thinking if it's the early on one, then the humans wouldn't have their trinket yet. But they have got perception, isn't it? Perception and
now, was perception a passive, or did you have to activate it?
You have to activate
they changed it at some point.
Yeah, at one point they just gave them a slightly higher level, but it was naff because it wasn't. Yeah.
So is that what it later became? And
yes,
the
for a little while.
Version was it's activated for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was particularly useful. Like I think like rogues were human because it gave them an edge on other rogues because they could kind of detect them and then launch into their kind of stun rotation before the other rogue could respond.
So Gultus says, I hope we won't cause the damage it did last time. In our guild, we had 1 divorce and 2 long-term relationships split up because of raiding.
Sounds about right. All about the purple pixels. Who got their purple pixels first? So much drama, and obviously trying to maintain 40 players. Because at the time, the advantage of being the raid healer officer going, well, I'm going to make sure that I get my cloth gear first because the guy who's next on DKP is getting rotated out this raid. Not that I did that very often, but you had to obviously maintain a rota and obviously a roster rather. And obviously, when you need 40 raiders, you need a roster of 50, 60 players. So there was constant weaving in and out, more so than we have now. But yes, the amount we've discussed it last time, we chatted about DKP and loot distribution, even more so when the legendaries and some of the legendaries are available to begin with. When you go and now how do you determine that? Because you need a player that's going to be there every single time.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, they have to be able to commit to every single one as well.
Yeah. And you're going to have to be pretty certain that person that you start giving your bindings to
doesn't run off and join method instead.
Yeah. That's it. But at least they want to make the sword for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. I think on the on the positive side, I'm not sure anyone will care that much for the legendaries simply because I'm not sure anyone's prepared to commit to the game for that long initially. It might be like, I want to have the world's first Sulfurous, but then they'll be like, 2 months later, I can't bother again. Yeah, so it's not bother with that pipe dream.
Yeah. I think there was that discussion on forums, wasn't it, when Blizzard went world first, classic kind of Ragnarok's kill, and everyone went, I think it's been done a while ago, and you kind of get, and that's the kind of point almost you go, actually, yeah, don't worry about any of these things because it has all been done before. It is only to the point that you enjoy doing it. That's the only thing that matters.
I mean, it is. I was fascinated by the fact that they've given themselves 8 days to get the first kill on Ragnaros. I don't know why I thought it would be longer than that because I thought it's going to be like at least 2 weeks actually getting to level 60. But it turns out when you are in a full group, things do go a bit quicker.
Yeah, I'm presuming because there's a certain amount of rep grind you need to actually activate Major Domo.
Yep,
so I'm guessing they've done their math and that they've decided that they need obviously that second raid lockout to get that done. But they've got smarter people than I doing this thing. So
yeah, so what they'll do first is they will grind the elementals in around the Azshara zone, and then that'll get them up to either friendly or honoured, and then they'll do the quests that are in the zone as well, because there's a few for rep there with the Waterlords.
Yeah.
And then they will get themselves into the raid itself. So as you said, they've probably worked all of that out. Now doing Molten Core week 1, that will be, the challenge.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've had a think about the work that goes in behind the scenes. Okay, so you've got 40 raiders. Those 40 are going to take part, but there has to be more than 40 people, though.
Absolutely. Although they'll have significantly more than that, won't they?
Right, so first of all, I imagine most people will be levelling up in 5-man groups, because you'll want to do a lot of dungeons.
Yeah, well, you're going to pair off your slower levelers, aren't you, with your faster levelers?
Your healers all need somebody to work with, right?
Yeah.
But not only that, but you're going to need maybe 5-6 tanks for these dungeons, and these are tanks that aren't going to get any play. So I'm guessing that means that they're all going to be playing warriors who can go DPS instead.
Well, DPS warriors were the highest DPS class, assuming
Single
threat.
target.
Wasn't an issue.
But if as well though that they got the rage they needed as well, which you do struggle a little bit in raids, but yeah,
there's comedy to shield them.
On point.
Yeah. I love the threat.
So yeah, I think you're gonna see them. Their 40-man will have a lot of warriors in.
Yeah.
For that reason, there'll probably be mainly priests for the healers.
With priests and pallies, right?
No, well, I expect Method are going Horde.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They might go Alliance because they want Paladins. It is a possibility. I've no idea which side they're playing. Maybe somebody in chat.
I don't know. That. Probably Horde, to be fair.
But the logistics says that, there's going to be people who will be just grinding items on the side.
Like I said, there'll be people mining the ore because there's plenty of craftables and you can just farm it.
They need to funnel as much consumables to the main raiders as possible.
Well, they've actually got there, like I said, you only really need one blacksmith, so you funnel, whoever gets the recipes and the rep. You'd almost thought the humans will be grinding out the rep to get the molten core rep, to get the recipe reps, and then they can just have an almost unlimited supply of herbs or and they will then have a designated crafter getting their Arcanite Reapers, getting their armor together, and going into molten core with the best craftables that they can put together.
But the issue is more going to be, they need someone to be fishing a lot.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of consumables on the side that you just don't have time to grind for. Likewise, they're going to have to want to move from zone to zone quite quickly. So I imagine they'll probably set up networks of 3 warlocks in the same place, or they'll get some mages to level 20 just so they can give portals to all the 40 raiders quite fast to get round to various dungeons.
I suspect because they probably won't. They'll have an idea what their best in slot bits are, because if it goes into the kind of power leveling before, and I guess that's still in effect, is you'll end up with people in the middle just kind of tagging, and then the faster ones just clearing. So they'll be looking for those large spawn points of mobs, and they'll know which ones they are. Where they'll just be repeatedly going in, rinse and repeat. And then at the end, they'll just be doing those top tier dungeons until the group they've got the people with the required rep. Because you think they're going once and clear up to Major Domo, and that's not going to take them that long. And then they've got however long left of to just farm the dungeons until the reset. And
they will kill. Certainly, if they get into Molten Core, they might choose just to, let the dungeon respawn. Because it's on a 2-hour respawn to try and get some of the bind on equip items to drop. The trash is on about a 2-hour spawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
So long as you haven't killed Ragnaros. I think if you kill Ragnaros, nothing respawns.
On too fair, so many issues because they won't be able to activate Dome or Ragnos probably the first time again there. Because a lot of the rep to Revered comes from the mobs inside.
Yeah, which is another reason why they'll want to farm it. So it'll be a case of they go in there and they can get the rep just off the trash, and then come out in a couple of 2 hours, go do other things, and come back 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Once the trash is respawned. Be interesting as well to see whether they can do a split raid in regards to that. So, for example, whether you get locked to a certain instance. I can't remember whether you do or not.
I'm pretty sure you... Actually, yeah, because there was that old conversation of people nicking raid lock locks
Yeah.
long ago, wasn't there? So you opened and you got tied to a particular raid lock because other people could steal it. I'm trying to remember if we're...
Now, you have to kill a boss before you get raid locked, right? You don't get raid locked off trash. So what I'm thinking is, in theory, whether you can clear up to the first boss and then disband the group and then somebody else makes another raid, and whether you can clear all that trash again, whether that's what they're going to do. They're just going to clear a lot of trash over and over again to
I'm trying to remember. It was because the raid lock was unique, so whoever joined was locked to that raid ID.
Yes, if you joined a raid in progress, it said, do you wish to join this raid? You will be locked to it if you accept.
Yeah, because you could then. So if one member of that raid team then went somewhere else and completed the raid dungeon with someone else, no one else from the original raid team could go in and clear that dungeon.
Could invite this. It was something they did. You would invite 39 other people, bring them inside, and then the people you did it with the previous night couldn't complete it.
Yeah,
because there were already a full group of people inside the dungeon.
So that was one of those be careful when bugging, folks.
Yes, I do remember there was some kind of world first race where this happened, where there was a particular group who did bring some spare bodies in, who then decided to ruin it. Which I think's hilarious, but I'm sure that GMs did something about it, even though I'm not sure the GM should.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you do an island at the moment, if you're playing the current WoW and you do an island, if you just join a random one, the other two can just kick you because they think it's funny, and the GMs are like, yeah, that's fine, that's just part of the game. You need to, join specific groups if you don't want people to be arseholes. That's not something they will petition over for, people griefing this way. Just two people kicking you because they think it's funny to give you a raid debuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think the GM should interfere. Like, if you join a raid group and then you decide to complete that group, why does some other people have any more right to that lockout than you?
Yeah, well, that's why it changed originally, didn't it? But the case of it, this is it now, which is, it's even like the ninjas. It's a case of, if you form a group, a bit like in real life, be careful who you invite into it. If you don't know people, then it is at your own risk. And really, it was, it encouraged the guild raiding as opposed to pugs. And then when the pugs formed, you're forming groups of players, usually from the top of the guilds in the server, who hadn't gotten to the raid that week. So they would then get together and form their own kind of secondary raid to clear as much as they could and get their bit of the loot. But at least you knew they came from trusted guilds. You knew they weren't going to be complete arseholes, because you had a certain amount of self-policing within the guilds. If someone ninja looted or if someone did something untoward, you'd report them to their guild master, and that guild master, not wanting to have that bad reputation on the server, they'd take action.
Yep. I remember those ones.
Yeah. I've done it, within mine. At the point you get people like that and you go, that's fine. You are now demoted from raided to social, because we don't want to be associated with players like that, or you just kick them when, and then you go thinking you're not getting it, because it was one of the benefits if you were in a well-known guild, that had good progress, that gave you, a certain element of prestige in getting into good groups, because people knew that you were an experienced player most of the time. But then it gave you a certain element of socials within your guild. You'd be picking and choosing because you knew that socials carried your guild tag, so they could get into groups more easily. So it's a case of, I remember there was a time when you get people who were encouraged to do dungeons and grinds and things outside the raid group because there were benefits to the guild or the server. And so they'd be asked to do all these dungeons and grind these materials and stuff for the main raid group.
Go grind some Black Lotus.
Exactly, yeah. And arcane crystals.
And You don't steal the arcane crystals. More
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Not that I'd never do that. I'd never take them off you. No.
That'd be the hackers with their walking under the ground, wouldn't it? Why is that? No, just disappeared right in front of me. Or the
Now, if it's a
duplicating.
Crusader orb, then yeah, I might steal that off you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
They
we
were-
won't need as many this year.
Cash monies, those
Yeah.
things.
Yep.
I remember when you used to go into those dungeons and there'd be like 5 of you all needing 8 of them. Or even if it was just one person needing it.
Yeah, I need it for my enchant, but you're not an enchanter. What you need it for is the auction house, yeah.
I'm going to die, I have died. Damn it. My pet decided to pull. And my pet, I mean my companion.
Yeah.
It said you have to strike decisively.
I'm almost encouraged now not to recruit my companion for the day.
Yes, exactly. Well, they did fan of knives and pulled everything. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's very nice of you. I don't like them doing AoE attacks like that and pulling mobs.
No, not least the end of the moment you look at them, they can just kind of run off.
But that's you know, it's just providing that classic experience, isn't it? Because that's what hunters do in this game.
That'd be like 10 yards from the cliff. Stop! Dismiss your pet. What? Oh no. We all know.
Well, there were some great dungeons for that.
Yeah. The arena in Blackwing. Yeah.
We're not just talking classic as well. Some of those later dungeons. What was so the level 80 dungeon? I think it was where there's a lot of jump downs you can do in it. I think it was that stone dungeon.
Core.
Was it Stone Core? I'm not. You know what? I'm not sure it was Stone Core. But there was a dungeon where you went in. You had the option of picking up the daily quest straight away, which obviously you never do because they were all awful. And then the first boss was that ogre who wanders. And there's lots of mobs around him, and there's like a forge on the left-hand side. And there's a big sort of ogre that wanders from the forge to between the packs. And then,
was it Blackrock Cavern?
Yeah, something like that. And then you walk around the right-hand side of the forge and turn left and go through some tunnels. And there was a couple of jump downs you could do, a couple of shortcuts where you could jump down. So there was a bridge over to the go over a bridge and then down some ramp to the left. But you could just jump down the bridge first. But your pet would go over the bridge, pull all the mobs on the bridge, pull all the mobs round the other side, and then run up to you and go, "Hey guys, I've made it!" And 50 mobs would start attacking you. And then the hunter would feign death and everyone else would die and he'd be alive.
Yeah.
Or the warlock would soulstone themselves and not soulstone the healer.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, well, I guess you're all running back.
Yep. Yeah, that was another kicking fence, wasn't it? Warlock soulstoning themselves. You in with a pro. You stepped in. That was what they did, and you went, yeah, right. We don't need you. Not.
They're up there with the rogues who don't bother with lockpicking, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm thinking you're not a team player, are you?
The only reason I brought you here to do some locks, to open these chests, or to take a shortcut through this door.
Yeah, because let's be honest, very rarely did you even bother with rogues with stat, because they kind of wander up, kind of fall out of stealth and pull the entire mob. So you're like, yeah, Stap's one of those last alternative CCs, really. We'll go with the sheep first, thanks.
Yeah. Polymorph, nice and easy. Freezing trap for hunters, nice and easy. Bit of sugar-free 7-Up here.
Yeah. Bit of shackle. Shackle was fine in certain instances. Even a cheeky mind control.
Yeah, Paladins had a 1 minute one on Undead.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what that was called. Not that it ever got used. Oh, it was Repentance, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they made it. That's not what they're going to have now, but it's more general, isn't it?
They completely changed what Repentance did, but I'm sure that was the original Repentance. It was 1 minute on Undead and Demons.
Demons, was it? Yeah. Sounds about right. Because they did more damage on those things later on, but still no taunt. Yeah, with Rogue and Warlocks didn't have it because don't fear the mobs.
No, I'm a whole 1,500 gold short of buying a WoW token. It'll come down in price by the morning.
Yeah.
It's 198 G. Lots of people have been cashing out their gold for WoW tokens.
Yeah. Ready to pay their classic subscription.
Well, I mean, if you know that you love Classic and you're going to be playing it for the next 3 months, what's the point of having a bunch of cash on the regular version of the game? Because it's not like it's going to be worth anything, you know.
Yeah.
Because the game's always been about having materials. So when the next sort of raid expansion comes out, if they introduce new items, new herbs, things like that, that's the stuff that actually has value. Not some random amounts of gold. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about playing the auction house, because I mean, you and me, we both loved that. Like, you know, it was a major part of the game for me in Classic. WoW, actually playing the auction house.
I think your challenge, first of all, is getting your little pot of gold, because that's what you need. The first thing when you're talk about buying this is you need money to make money. Because there's a lot of talk about people initially taking the likes of skinning, and not to sell the skins on the auction house, but just to sell them flat out to generate an initial pool of gold. It's like, yeah. So a lot of people are kind of realizing that initially there's no money to be had. You've got a period of time where you've just got to literally vendor everything to get a stack of more gold, and then wait for everyone else to get a bit of gold. And then
let's prioritize what we need to do then. I think the first thing we need to do is get your tailoring up, because bags, everyone needs bags. Before you can even make gold, you've got to get stuff, and to get stuff you've got to have bag space.
Yes, it's one of the very early sellers is bags.
I mean, even the 6, 8 or 10 slot bags were okay, you know, they get you ticking over.
That's it. I did the beta, and that was the big seller early on. 35 silvers a bag, that's a winner. But again, it depends on how much you want to grind the cloth to begin with, but it was a definite money earner. Again, it's even things like wands. All the priests need wands to start with, so it's knowing those early items that people are desperate for to assist in their grinding, and they're happy to kind of hand over their little bit of cash that they've saved for that, you know, speeded up level.
Hooray, my priest had 10,000 gold on him from some auctions, so
I
can have my next WoW token. So I think like the 16 slot bag is like the dream. It's like la la la, you know, when you're fully kitted out in 16 slot bags. Apart from the hunter who's got like a 24 slot quiver or something. Or some of the time they have 3 bags which are all quivers, because they just need that many arrows for raiding. And
they got their quivers gave them a speed bonus, didn't they? Because their bags were for arrows, would give them a combat bonus.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is that the best bow in the game, Kelthalas or whatever it's called, the one that doesn't use arrows, which was in the expansion.
Thorald
Deal or whatever it is. Yes. Now,
Yeah.
what's interesting is it didn't use ammo. Now, ammo at level 70 gave you bonuses. You could have like explosive ammo, couldn't you? If you remember that. You fired arrows that exploded and did damage. So basically, you either gave yourself the good arrows or there was like a lower tier of arrows.
Yeah. Yes.
But Blizzard were clever and made it so that the best bow in the game, even without the arrow bonus, because you're not firing arrows, so you don't get to do any explosive stuff, still had more DPS than the next best.
Yeah, they ended up buffing it slightly to accommodate some of the other arrow types.
Now, what's also amusing is that it was the best rogue weapon as well for that slot. And I read this post about a hunter who quit the guild after this particular bow dropped because the rogue had 10 DKP more and just dumped it all to win the bow. And all I could think was, why would a guild master allow this to happen? Yeah. With the DKP system, why would you ever allow anyone who wasn't a main weapon user to take that?
I think only if you really hated the hunter.
Well, he immediately quit the guild, so you know that mission succeeded there. But, yeah, so, you know, so we're going to get that tailoring, we're going to get that up.
We saw that, are you blacksmithing and mining, or?
I haven't decided yet, because, I mean, that it's a PvP server, that you know, Gnomish engineering or Goblin engineering. I don't know which one to go for there.
Probably no fun, Goblin for damage. What's the general gist of it?
Yeah, but the thing is, goblins get the jetpack that gives you the speed boost.
Yeah. Also then, you know,
which is very important in PvP.
Well, goblins were if you want the practical, you know, uses of it. Then people want goblins. I generally went gnomes. Gnomes are fun. You got the invisibility and the shields.
Again, that's what I went first time round. I went gnomish because I was a paladin, and the invisibility is very good with that. But of course, you know, it's like, do you want to go engineering just because of the chicken and the Yeti? Because the chicken was hilarious. I'm sure I could do a 10-hour video on just the chicken beating up low-level hordes. You know, and everyone would love it. It's just something you never get bored of.
True.
Or do you go down the blacksmithing route? It's tough, isn't it? It's tough. It's very tough. Because you can make a lot of money just from making Arcanite Reapers. Let's go buy my WoW token.
You break it, you buy it.
You break it, you buy it. Look at that, it's gone up to 199 in the... It's gone up 1,000 gold in the 3 minutes we've been talking. This is outrageous. What a scam. What an absolute scam. Yeah. Let's, everyone can see my WoW balance now. Oh, as soon as the item appears in my inbox. Come on. Waiting for my inbox to refresh. I want my token. Give me my token. I have a horrible gambling addiction. I need to gamble this token. Give me it. Gimme. There we go. Thank you. Give me my token. Add £10 to your Blizzard balance. Your new Blizzard balance will be £187. It's like I have been farming some tokens. Bink! There we go. £10 added on to the Blizzard balance. And that's just because I love the auction house. It's great fun. So, what I was, for example, in the current expansion, I've just been making these enchants. So, a Chord of Critical Strike, a Chord of Haste, Force Multiplier, Machinist's Brilliance, and making about 150 gold off every single enchant. And just buying up all the Veiled Crystals when they're cheap and stuff like that. So, for Classic WoW, we're going to start with the bags. We're going to be skinning stuff on the side. We're going to be collecting ore on the side. Do you think I don't think herbs are as important as ore. I think ore is like super important because it's engineering, it's blacksmithing, both weaponsmithing and armor smithing.
Depends on the kind of heavyweight. If there are a lot of raiders on the server, then you're going to. And again, it depends because certain recipes, like the fire resistance recipes, are grind. If you don't have it, certain recipes will sell very well. Some will just have no kind of traction at all. So it's not a case of every single potion makes money. Like you said, you've got mage blood. Yeah, great. You've got some of the foods that generate mana. They're going to go well. But a lot of them will actually, just not sell. So. Oh, sorry, people being at the same time here. So
you do this every week, don't you? What was it? You messaged me on like Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning to say I'm just doing my PvP. Got to get it in before reset.
I know it's Brawl week. Easiest way for me to finish my conquest is subject myself to a Brawl as Alliance.
What's the brawls at the moment?
Arathi Blizzard.
Arathi Blizzard. Let's have a read of this map. Arathi Basin Winter. I have no idea what that means. Rules: capture objectives. Visibility is. Oh, they've even misspelt that. They've spelt it visibility.
Yeah.
Visibility is reduced. Terrain has frozen. What does terrain has frozen mean? Is it? Does it? You slide along it? Is you run and you stop? You just keep sliding? What's terrain has frozen mean?
Yeah, I think it means that someone has removed your education, and that now you must cope with more with more difficult words.
But yeah, visibility is reduced, not visibility. I have noticed that the actual spell checking has been awful. There's been so many spelling errors in this latest game. So how far ahead can you see in this Arathi Basin?
About 10, 20 meters. Not my very long see things to heal. Well,
now, do they not show up on the mini-map either?
Hang on, just don't want to die. No, they're usually on the mini-map, so like for healer, it's not a big deal because you can obviously heal.
But you can see the enemy on the mini-map before you actually see them physically.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do you reckon they've outsourced some of this spell checking?
I just don't think they're bothered. Being completely honest.
They're programmers, they're not writers. So, are we at all, ever, at any point, going to touch the Night Elf starter zones?
No.
No. They were awful, weren't they? Weren't they
yeah.
absolutely shocking zones? Oh, God. anytime you got a quest in the night elf sort of starter zones, you were literally going the length of the map to do one quest and then come back. They had no concept of putting stuff close to each other. The gnome starter area was still a bit of a run. I like the dwarf one. You know, the dwarf was okay because it was quite close to Ironforge, so it wasn't too bad in regards to that. But I think the human starting is just unparalleled in quality.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I mean,
you get to fight the porcine entourage. You get to fight Hogger. You get to go to Darkshire, Lakeshire, Westfall.
It's not as widespread as the elves, and it's not as hilly as the dwarfs.
And it was just like quest. You never stop getting quests. You know, it just felt like a fantastic gaming experience compared to the other zones, really. I think that is a good reason for a lot of people picking human, is because it's just the best zones. Yeah, you could definitely, as a dwarf, I mean, because you're going to be doing this, you're going to be leaving the starter zone. All you got to do is make it through that tunnel, and then you're into Stormwind, and you can get on the Deep Run tram, and then come join me in. Come join me in Stormwind after.
That's roughly the plan.
But luckily, you don't have to go back to Ironforge to train up, because there is, in fact, a priest in Stormwind as well. The trainers going back there every couple of levels. That's so many people are going to be like, "What do you mean you have to learn?" I don't understand. And then that was the worst, wasn't it? Not having the gold to afford your new spell. Oh god,
was the very worst. It has to be said.
And it happened a lot, especially if you're a warrior, because you were just smashing that repair button all the time. I mean, you learn quite quickly never to repair your items until they physically broke, because you could probably just replace it and then vendor it.
It's one of those tense Arathi games, 1000 to 1040, but we've got 3 bases. Can we hold 3 bases? We're Alliance, so
I always hated that when you
25,
had the
75.
3 bases, and then your team started pushing out to a 4th, and then you lost 2 bases.
That's what we pushed, lost 1, gained another thing, and just hold the 3.
Yeah.
Hold the 3.
But the thing is, there've got to be 3 good ones to hold as well. You know, I'd rather have 2 bases and the blacksmith than the 3 bases round the side, because you can never defend them all. You know, you really need that blacksmith in the middle just to be able to, you know, run to whichever other base is being attacked.
Ooh, berserking. Fear the berserking priest.
Yeah, I had this chat before about fear. Why did it always send you in the absolute worst possible
the worst direction? Need to run away? No, you're going to run towards the mob. Towards? No.
Yeah, I remember once fearing... I was low on health. Fearing a mob, running away, and the mob just... whatever direction I went in, just following me while feared. Likewise, you know, if you're doing PvP and somebody fears you, straight into the enemy of 30 people. The game was just one huge troll, really.
Yep.
But with all that said, you know, it was still better than being polymorphed for a minute. So you're looking forward to fighting Korak the Blood Rager in Alterac Valley and summoning, you know...
yeah, and
killing all
again, as
people,
we've discussed,
summoning the
I'm going to
bosses.
avoid Alterac Valley until I am horribly overgeared from PvE to the average PvP player.
It was such a sad state of affairs, wasn't it, when the PvE gear was the best for PvP?
No, not for PvE player. But yes, in theory, I agree.
I used to love Alterac Valley more than anything, though. Good old 40-man raids. Lasting for 5 days solid. Going to bed, waking up the next morning, the same fight still be going on. And then at the end of it, not gaining a PvP rank by the end of the week.
Sounds right.
You know, you kill 10,000 people, but some other people kill 12,000, therefore they gain a rank, and you don't.
Sorry, I was just in a 2-minute long fight with the warrior as a holy priest. Going, and you're looking up thinking, as long as I don't die, I'm holding stable. And I'm at that point where you're far enough ahead now that whether you lose the 2 bases or not doesn't matter. Happy days. Yeah, holy priests in battlegrounds is never fun. It's like a big target and going squishy player that casts lots. However, if you don't hit me, then I'll just hit my entire
However,
group.
in vanilla, it's a bit different.
Oh yes.
Because they don't know what spec you are.
No. Yeah, Shadow is quite good in vanilla. 1 versus 1, Shadow was fairly unbeatable. Not that I'll get to play Shadow for long, only while I'm leveling. Until I get to the first dungeon. And that's it then, wholly all the rest of the way.
Well, I mean, I think we'll do the first dungeon probably twice.
Yeah. Got to get Cookie's spoon.
Well, I mean, because you know, you can do it once, and then you're still within that level range.
Yeah, and to be fair, Deadman's... I was thinking that for you and I, at the end of the day, the dungeons are the better way of going forward. You want to do it once because you get a big leap, don't you, for the quests and
yeah, a huge leap for the quests. Yeah.
Only they were using their power to heal Azeroth instead of hurt her. Good work, champion.
there we
So
go.
what's the next dungeon then? For the Deadmines.
There's one of the Razor Maws that's low, isn't there? And then we're on to like Older Man and stuff. But whether we go to Razor Maw,
Yeah,
that's out of the way as well.
I can't see us going to that continent at all. Full stop. I think I don't even want to do the ones after that.
Let's have a look. So yeah, Blackthorn Depths is... The thing is, it's a nice dungeon. It's just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Deadlines, check. Gnomeregon.
Yes, we'll do Gnomeregon once.
Yeah, I can see it
because
once.
you need the boots.
This is the thing, isn't it? For some of them,
you might want the staff for your little water breathing.
yeah.
And
Shadow
there's a lot of
Bank.
quests in there as well. There are genuinely a lot of quests in there.
No, not Shadow Bank either. That's just done for drinking.
Yeah, it's true though. That was a good dungeon. I did like Shadow Fankeep, I must admit. Yeah.
It's one of the ones I didn't really realise about until it wasn't relevant, which is a shame because it's a good story to it. Of course, Scarlet. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that is the one time we will sort of venture outside of our comfort zone into enemy territories to do all the Scarlets.
Yeah.
You can't even do them all at the same time, like one after the next.
No.
because there is quite a level gap between them.
Stockade. Yeah, so it's Dead Mines, Stockades, and it's pretty straight after.
Yeah, and you'll do Stockades a couple of times.
Yeah, because there's a lot of time
so
quests. Yeah.
It's just so fast, and they do send you back in there. But you have to do Stockades after Wetlands. So once you get to Wetlands, you actually get a quest to go all the way back to Stockades.
There's quite a few tying quests with Stockades, to be fair. There's like about
around the place, weren't they? Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, what was... Yeah, Raise Friend Down's a little bit of... Yeah, so yeah, Raise Friend Down's, Raise Friend Call, both not going to happen.
So we'll probably just do world quests around that time.
Yeah, Dead Mines into Stockade into Aldermon, probably.
Yeah, we'll do Aldermon because that was a good dungeon, and then of course we'll probably we might end up dodging or doing just the once. Yes, we'll do Zul'Farrak.
And there was Temple, wasn't there? That they were.
Temple was a very good dungeon, very easy to get lost in. If you didn't know where you were going, but
of course, Sulthraze is a thing for you as well, isn't it?
It's unlikely based on the actual
drop rate.
It was very bad, that drop rate. I actually have got Zul'Thraze on my Paladin, but it took me a lot of attempts. So yeah, that's very unlikely to happen in Classic.
Yeah.
And of course you've got, Scholomance and Stratholme. Scholomance you do start at the level 50s.
Well, those two are kind of the staple because there's quite a few things in there to kind of go back and forth with. For Stratholme, both sides, haven't you? Scholomance, and that takes us up into, before then, we also, Lower Black Rocks kind of around that, low mid-50s.
Yeah. Pontus asks, are there any essential add-ons? I'd say a threat meter is an essential.
Yeah, like Omen, recount, because obviously you need to show everyone how good you are.
Yeah. Talent costs will be quite expensive to change, so it's like it costs 1 silver, then 10 silver, then 50 silver, or does it go straight to a gold after 10 silver?
I think it's a gold. I'm too sure it's gold.
And then it will carry on rising to a maximum of 50 gold, or is it 25?
I can't remember, whatever it is. It was unsustainable. was the answer to that question.
It's like you need to pick your talents and stick with them.
This is it, and it's that fun of finding the people who are. Hopefully, I don't think we'll have genuinely pretending to be, one spec. It's only really an issue for people trying to be clever and tank when they're not in tank spec, and that becomes obvious quite quickly because they're not quick capped, or healers trying to heal and they're not heal spec'd. And again, if you're fairly clued up, you just ask them to cast the relevant spell and they go and disappear. So again, it's that case of you're raiding with groups, it's fine. If you're pugging it and you get someone trying to be clever, but it's hard because if you are tank spec or heal spec, then it does significantly impact on your ability to then do quests out in the world, etc. So until you kind of outgear stuff. But it's hopefully your reward there is getting into groups and getting into good groups.
I'm waiting for something to spawn here. Come on, spawn. Is the quest broken? Yes, I think ideally I tank. Ideally I think I go DPS.
Well, we're both going DPSing until
to tank. I think you can get away with DPS for Dead Mines because you have like 9 talent points at that point anyway, so it's not
Mate,
relevant.
you'd have to have a look at the warrior trees. I can't remember into the inherent bonuses, and because there's some inherent bonuses when you swap across.
Yes,
it's one of those. Once we're doing dungeons, it doesn't matter because that's kind of the path after that, really. But it's until then. It's like with the priests. In some ways, it's not as bad because the main way of leveling the priest is the wand, and that kind of talent lies in like the discipline tree. But either way, like I said, it depends very much on how long we spend in doing world quests. Because for me, it's a case of I'd rather than spend that astronomical, because you just can't switch back and forth. It very, very quickly, like I said, you maybe it 3 or 4 times, so you need to almost plan ahead. At what points you're going to be DPS or tank or healer. So like initially to get those first 20 odd level, 15 levels, 15 to 20, it's for priests at least it's fairly easy because there's the specs saying you either go down wanding for priest or you go down shadow tap. For me, I'll be wanding because that way I can very easily carry on healing with the same kind of set of talents. And like you said there, and then we carry on. The only question really is that kind of period probably like mid-30s to early 40s. There's gaps where the dungeons don't quite lie in, so you either end up running the dungeons constantly with kind of getting the same level of XP as world quests, but it's after you've done the dungeon 3 or 4 times, it's a bit boring. For the mid ones, the end ones at least have bits in because they have quests where you've got to go back in there repeatedly, or they drop items that you can flog in the auction house. So those level 60 dungeons, you don't mind doing those repeatedly because it pays to do it. But the middle ones, once you've done older one a couple of times, there's no fun there anymore.
And this is the older man that needs 3 people to summon.
Yes,
get through to the last room as well.
Yeah.
None of this, you just need one person to click on it anymore.
Nope.
There's certainly lots of things about the game you forget quite how annoying they were.
What was that? Is Dalmor at the very beginning? Is that? I think it's released later, isn't it?
A good question. Was Diamol there from the very start of the game?
No, it wasn't. It was added later, but I know we're not starting at the very beginning.
There were 3 wings, though, right? Well, 4, sorry. Northeast, south, and west, right? Weren't there? Or were there just 3?
There were 3. But like some of them were small. I don't remember. Making that one there. There was only one wing that was relevant.
yeah. There was a very fast wing.
Yeah. There was the not really instanced bit, wasn't there? Which I guess you might. Yeah, Dalmor contains 3 wings in 2 instances. The wings are known as Dalmor East, West, and North. The West and North wings are contained in a single instance and connected by the Anathadium. Yeah.
So East was the short one, wasn't it, then?
Yeah, that was it. You kind of went along the tunnel, the other bit, which hence it was like half a wing each, but that contained as 1 dungeon. And then you had the north one with the tribute. But as I just said, there was only really 1 wing. You did the other one once, and then you did the other one repeatedly.
And there was a couple of backdoor entrances into those wings as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you certainly, if you quested in that area, because there was like a little sort of quest hub, you did get sent back into Diamol quite a lot.
Yeah, they had like class sets, and they had the we talked about before, the shoulder enchants. So you had to get a book that dropped, and it was the only way you get the shoulder enchants was from there.
Did you also get one of the rank 7 or rank 8 spells from inside
you
there?
Did, yeah. The books were like, I'm sure, I got it because it had the Prayer of Fortitude was one of the higher ranks there. I think there's some recipes as well, wasn't there? Some food recipes were there as well.
So I know that one of the go Eastern Kingdoms here. I know there was a recipe in Zul'Gurub. I know there was the polymorph rabbit for mages in there. But I'm sure the druid rank 7 their buff that was in Dire Maul.
Okay, Mark of the Wild.
Mark of the Wild, I'm sure that was in Dire Maul, the rank 7 or rank 8 or however many ranks it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was until the next expansion I leveled the druid, so... Yeah, there are lots of little things in a lot of places where even if you do the dungeon the first time round for just clearing the dungeon for the dungeon's sake, you'll then haul back for various class or set or items or, recipes.
It was definitely the case, yeah, for the Warlock. Warlock had to go into Dire Maul for his mount.
Yeah, so did the Paladin, didn't they? I remember many a Paladin...
the Paladin had to release the unicorn from after killing the tree or something.
Yep.
You killed one of the trees and then he cast a spell that released a unicorn that you had to tame, which was going to be your mount. So Cultus asks, Shadow Priest leveling, do you recommend it?
If you're not going to do dungeons, yes, it is. But the thing is, early on, the tricky part with Shadow Priest leveling, it works for solo because you're revolving around the Shadow Tap, your initial talent, because your mana usage, you're using your mana not only to kill mobs, but to heal yourself up afterwards. So without Shadow Tap, you're drinking constantly, and it's incredibly slow. With Shadow Tap, you can kind of dot up the mobs, warm them to death, renew your mana in between the mobs. What you tend to find in the real guide is you start off with a maxed out.
Oh, that's scary.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry.
You start off with the maxed ones, going down the discipline tree.
Somebody clip.
And then eventually, once you get to a high enough level to get the end talent in Shadow, then you respec into full Shadow. Because that's the point where it makes sense then. But the problem is, in Classic, Shadow was one of the lowest DPS classes, so you're never really going to get into a group as Shadow. So yeah, if you're going to go from 0 to 60 solo, Shadow's the way to do it. It's still slow, even as pure Shadow. there's no escaping it, unfortunately. Life becomes a lot easier once you get Mind Flay, and obviously the full ranked out Shadow Tap, but it's still slow. Most people doing Priest will go Dwarf Priest, and they'll level in groups, as I tend to. But there will be people who go.
Did Shadow become viable by the end of the expansion or the vanilla?
No. No. Yeah, not until the next when they released the Karazhan dungeon. So that was early in the next expansion where they started to buff Shadow. Shadow got a nice big rework and got the Divine Plague and things.
You couldn't tank, you couldn't DPS, you would heal and nothing else as a paladin.
Yeah,
that was your only. You know what? If you weren't casting Blessing of Kings, you wouldn't have even been invited.
yeah. Okay, single target tank healing. Okay.
But there were just better. That's
yeah. There were other ones that did it better. It's kind of like say this. There are other healers in their niches are better than priests, but no one overall, brought the toolkit that priests did to healing. That's just the power of the down-ranked single target heals and the fact that no one else could AoE heal like the priests could, because they were the only ones really with a decent, as it was para healing then. Obviously, it all changes later on. So again, it depends how. The interesting question is how long.
I was going to say prayer healing depended upon your raid not being idiots, though. Again, didn't it? Because it had had a range.
It had a range and it only healed a group. So this is where making sure groups were in, your team members were in the right places, so that both your tanks were in the same group, that your melee were in the same group, that your range were in the same group, so that you can actually hit them all with the same spell. So no more, it doesn't matter, other than where your main tanks are. It really did matter, and you would regularly have people switching people around in your range setup so you could reach them with different spells. Yeah, all that fun's back.
And you'd give like I don't know. Well, I mean, I literally don't know how you did it, but we would put like markers on our priests. So it's like we'd be like, okay, group 5. This is your priest who will be healing you. Stay near him.
Yep, absolutely.
You watch the orange marker.
It was that famous thing of your priest, line of sight, your healer, you're dead. It's not my job to chase you. It's your job to stay in line of sight of me, because I can't move while healing.
Even worse for paladins when you had to be looking at them.
Yeah.
Because you'd always try to stand at the back of the raid for that reason. So everyone's in your field of vision. Which didn't always work, unfortunately. Good in theory, but in practice, you're trusting on other people to not be idiots, and they were idiots.
Yeah.
Everyone was bad at raiding in vanilla.
Yeah, well, this was it. We didn't have any guy.
What's going to be your final holy spec anyway? What's going to be like?
There are 2 holy specs. It's whether there's kind of basically the end of the holy tree is Lightwell, which in theory is an amazing spell if you could rely on anyone else clicking the shiny ball in the middle of the raid. But people can't do that. So what should have been an amazing spell became one of the worst, because you just couldn't rely on anyone actually clicking it. So what you found Holy Priest Squad is they wouldn't take their best talent. So you either end up with 20 in Discipline, 31 in Holy, and they take Lightwell, or the common one, because that on the Discipline tree, the 21st talent is a raid-wide buff that increases Spirit. Obviously, quite useful to healers. So you want one of your priests going down that route. And again, it depends. If you are a very clear raid that can use Lightwell, then you go 20, 31. So 20 points of Discipline, 31 in Holy. If you can't rely on that, well, you just still need at least one person to go and get the Spirit buff. And in all likelihood, for me, I'll be that guy. I won't bother trying to place my Lightwell around down, only to see it be ignored, or to see someone just click it repeatedly for the shiny tingly effect.
Of course, yeah, because it was like 20 charges or something, wasn't it? Yes.
Yep.
And if you were at full health, you could still click it.
Yeah. Later on, they buffed it, so it did it automatically, and then it became amazing. Person nearby. It was naff as a healing spell then, because it healed the wrong person. Yes. But it looked so good on the meters. Oh, dear, oh dear. So yeah, 21-30 for me. Making sure I've got the spirit buff, which is a shame that I won't be human, because I like the human spirit buff as well, which kind of made you the best healer, because you had the highest level of spirit. But needs must. Gotta have Fearwood. Otherwise you are just a second-class priest. But all more important, since you're not undead and you can't break out those fears.
Now, I know you have a kind of a PvP interested guild.
Yeah,
there are to be playing with.
Yeah,
and that was your reason for picking a PvP server.
I just kind of picked PvP because at the time I was a hard mode player, and to be fair, the guild was, like you said there were, for the melee especially, there were some items that were only available in PvP that they particularly desired. So for the truly min-maxing players, we did both. It was just, in classic, PvP was obviously a massive grind. Whereas I'd rather just grind consumables. Then I have more of an interest in it now, but not going back to what I remember classic being and how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember grinding my unstoppable force in Alterat Valley.
Yeah,
Getting
well,
the
I
reps with
grounded the
Exalted.
trinket, and anything that was kind of a quality of life thing, I was happy to grind away with.
No, I didn't make it in time. Denied.
But no, the guild I'm in, we obviously it's PvE, but what they have is like a PvP side. So some of the socials are active PvPers, and they have officers who will regularly run kind of PvP events. Whether they know what they're letting themselves in for Classic, I don't know, but they'll be there.
I hope nobody clips that, me missing out on killing Siege-Otron by 0.1 seconds, like flying in and it just dying as my judgment flies towards it. Do you know what? I would have got it in time if I'd just cast Hand of Reckoning instead. That would have killed it as instant. Oh, but however, I've succeeded on Sky Captain. As long as the person I'm grouping with doesn't leave the group now. I'm still in a raid group. Nothing worse than getting phased out just as the boss is about to die.
You see it, you go, I can reach it, and it's disappeared. Where'd the herbs go? Where'd the boss go?
Good work, soldier. You must crush the alliance.
Well, that's my weekly conquest capped, and my chest for next week. Just two more levels on the
yeah, but priests never dispelled because that was a paladin's job in a raid.
Frankie took
Paladins dispelled everything.
You did, you did more than us, and yours was like instant. I think initially,
yes,
dispel might even been a
do
cast
curses.
For priests.
And was it only mages?
Mages, yeah, because
they hated that. It's like, I do DPS. No, you're on curse duty.
Yeah, the priest, because we dispelled 2 magic effects, and we could do disease. Couldn't do curses, couldn't do poison.
Paladins did poison, magic, disease, did everything apart from curse.
Curses, yeah.
That was druids. I think druids might have done curses as well.
They did curses and poison. I don't think they did disease.
Yes, that sounds right.
And I have a horrible feeling they didn't do magic either.
Correct, yes, I think you're right with that.
They were second-class dispels.
Magic was the big one. Like all of the nasty stuff that happened was magic. There was only Curse of Tongues as a curse that you hated.
Yeah.
and that was crippling. I mean, that was increases your spells sort of by 50% cast time.
There were a few poisons that did a lot of damage, because I remember regular time, and the tank gave poison, and you're like, nope, sorry, not me. I'll just have to try and heal you through it.
Which is why dwarf tanks were good, because they had the stone form for removing the poisons.
Yeah, and there were some raid bosses with nasty bleeds, which were trivialised by dwarf tanks.
Yeah. But on the other side of things, actually having a trinket as a human was very important, because you did get feared a fair bit.
Yeah, it was good later on, but early on it wasn't a thing. You just had, in fact, generally, it was the bonus to swords early on, wasn't it, for the humans? They had the perception,
spirit buff,
spirit buff, which wasn't overly useful for tanks. Perception racial, the added rep, and bonuses to swords and maces, which was desirable by warriors, as I recall.
Oh, certainly on the sword front, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the Nelfs had the bonus to dodge for tanks, which was their kind of semi-desirable bit. But no, I think most end up being dwarfs in my raiding experience, which was a shame, considering the hype problem later on. Right. Well, it has to be said, my loot for all my PvP today has been particularly dire. That's all been scrapped.
It's a hard life.
Oh no, don't really. Yeah, it's only really the mythic raid now that's going to reward me. But as I was saying before, 2 more levels on my fat neck, and then I can kind of stop.
What are you at the moment?
63 now. What's 60 then?
I'm 62 and a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just 65 to get you. That gets you
Right.
your maxed out item level on your mythic pieces, and also obviously your second minor slot. There's one other at 67, isn't there, which is a bit more stamina, but that's kind of meh. And then I think, does it carry on going to about 70?
Mm-hmm.
But that's all kind of very, very trivial upgrades. So
Yes.
at that point, you're like, yeah, thank you very much, no more.
Now, we're talking about line of sight. How about dem Tauren tanks? No problem.
No problems with them. And the extra health, darn it.
Yep.
Horde had it easier. I think that was to compensate for the Paladin side, wasn't it? Because they had...
No paladins, yes.
But that was the eternal dilemma for Horde tank. Do you go undead so you can break fear?
Mm-hmm.
Although you have shamans and your tremor totems, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
Or do you go Tauren for the extra health? I think most were Tauren, weren't they, in the end? The main tank.
Yeah, but then they were stuck up with the Kodo mount, which couldn't get through any doors.
Yeah. Ugly mount.
I got stuck through many doors with a Tauren mount in this game.
Right, I think that is that. I've done
No
everything.
idea why I'm flying back here. Might as well just click that button. Go zooming on the Bon Voyage 6000. Ah!
Okay.
Get out the water, you idiot. Oh, by the way, if nobody's ever done this, right, the most hilarious thing, okay? Get yourself drunk in-game, right? And then try to fly anywhere on your flying mount. Oh my god, I just accidentally did it for the first time the other day. I'm going to tell you, it's the most hilarious thing you will ever do. Just do it. Just find the nearest innkeeper, buy some beers, and then try to fly anywhere. I don't want to do it because it will spoil the entertainment of everyone experiencing this for the first time themselves. But trust me, you will absolutely love it.
And then carry some black coffee with you for when you want it dead.
Yes, and then have some coffee on you. Honestly, give it a try. Have you ever done that, Craig?
Oh yes, there used to be a few buffs that had alcoholic effects, and you're like, I won't say because I won't spoil for people, but you're like, oh, that's mildly inconvenient. And then when you try to deal with it, you're like, oh, you can't. Oh well, yeah, have fun. Thanks, Debs, for that afterthought of flying under the influence.
Yes. They really should make a competition out of that one as well, because it would just be...
I'm sure that could be a NASCAR game, couldn't it? Here, try and unravel this whilst you're swaying about.
Because when you're flying, you don't just sway left and sway right, you sway up and sway down as well. So you'll be flying along and all of a sudden you'll just nosedive into the floor.
Yep. Oh, Nola's not impressed with my calligraphy skills.
Never on the first attempt.
To be fair, I did wait until all the lines had disappeared. It was a lot harder then. There'll be a second.
So, I briefly chatted about this right at the start. Do you actually want to play when the servers come up? Or do you want to get a good night's sleep, assuming that the servers will be down for those first 10 hours anyway?
See, I have pondered this as a former hardcore player and thought, right, and as a single dad. So I have to have my kids in bed by 7 and then go to bed and then wake up at 10. Because there's a very, very microscopic chance that everything's up. and wanting to be part of that. I was there when it started.
That first few hours is something quite unique, isn't it?
Yeah. But as you rightly said, there is a very good chance it all goes boops up. And in which case, if I log on and it goes, "Dear Eben, you are now number 12,353 in queue. Expected wait time, 4 hours. I will happily log off, go to bed." Or if it says, "Dear Eben, no servers are up at the moment." Again, I will happily just go to bed. And so I'm not going to hang around wondering, will it come up in half an hour or an hour? If I just take a look and think, yeah, I can maybe get on in half an hour, even maybe an hour tops, I might. But otherwise, like you said there, far better to log in early in the morning when the initial wave of ones have burnt themselves out and gone to sleep. Because at the end of the day, I have a life. I've done all this once before. It's for doing it for fun, not for world first classic Ragnaros poker person.
I mean, there's absolutely no way you're going to beat some of the organised people at it.
No, not at all. We're not trying to. At the end of the day, like I said, if it was, I wouldn't be leveling as a priest. I'd be like, I think I'll go as mage, thank you.
I'm trying to think. I think it was a warrior who was world first.
Wouldn't have surprised me.
First time around. I'm trying to think whether it was Kungan who got it first time round. I'm certainly a little bit unsure. So on my server, it was somebody on the Horde side who was first to 60.
Yeah, because
I
there
was
were two
about
main.
10th on Alliance to 60.
Yeah, there were two main guilds on mine, and it was a guy because we're all kind of in the same guild, and he was like, there was like one guy who was finally got to Ungoro like ahead of everyone else.
Yes.
So when you're looking down the ranks thinking he was in that zone, and I was like maybe like 7th there, and he was the only guy on his own. And we were Alliance side, thinking, so he kind of got there first, and he was a mage to be fair on our server. And then he kind of split off and formed his own, like the guild in. What was it? We were on Deathwing to start with. Yeah. And we had there was two main guilds. There was the Burning Blade on kind of one part, and then I was in the other one. I can't remember what the early name was. Things changed quite a lot in the early days as people just tried to get 40 decent players together. But they were kind of a bit of a rivalry, the two main guilds clearing content. But yeah, like you said, there was another hardcore on the Horde side. There wasn't a huge Horde population initially. It was much more. It was interesting actually as we got into the topic because there are now stat figures out for the projected server populations.
Okay.
And I was having a glance at this because you look at like the main initial ones, and it's fairly close 50-50 on Alliance and Horde, not what we were expecting.
Yeah.
But then as you look at the additional newly launched PvP servers, those are much more heavily Horde favoured. Then if you look at the PvE servers, they are all much more heavily Alliance favoured. Does suggest what we thought, which is, like I said, the Alliance favors are a lot of the Alliance players are less PvP inclined, so choose the PvE servers. Whereas there are obviously a lot more Horde PvPers, but they don't necessarily want to compete with all the other top PvPers, so they're happy to spread out over a number of the PvP guilds servers.
Well, Horde, one of the first things I said on my stream the other day was Horde was the faction you went if in Classic you wanted to do PvP, because there was no wait times.
Yeah.
If you joined Alderite Valley, it popped instantly for you because there were twice as many Alliance doing PvP as Horde. And conversely, that has stuck, hasn't it? Horde have always been the PvP faction for that reason. So now everyone's going Horde to PvP, and they're going to be the ones with the big wait times.
Yeah. That's it. Must stop turtles from reaching water.
It'll be interesting when the first raid start, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, let's kill Garrosh.
Well, the other controversial topic at the moment is we have a number of griefing guilds coming across from the private servers who are now saying, we'll be on this server. And like, ooh, you're thinking, yeah, but again, the private servers weren't necessarily quite the same experience. And given the kind of more community spirit of these larger servers where people try to do this, because we did, you were there the same, so you did have world PvP, and it was quite easy when things kicked off
to get
to
help.
get everyone involved.
Yeah. If you said, you know, well, like I did, you know, I love telling the story of really on Deathwing, I started the South Shore versus Tarren Mill fights. And that was because I was an arsehole.
Were you killing low levels in that zone?
Right, so I'm levelling up my Paladin, and I get to about level 52, 53, and at this point I'm third on the Alliance for hitting level 60. And I just can't take it anymore, because there's no quests to do anymore. Yeah. There's no quests, and I'm just hitting skeletons in Eastern Plaguelands, and that's it. For 7 levels, this is all I'm going to be doing.
Farming spongy mongrels.
And it got really, really tedious. So instead I decided to go to Tarren Mill and release my engineering chicken on the level 35 hordes in the area.
Yeah.
So, of course, what they did was they got all of their mates who were... Because the horde hit level 60 before the Alliance on Deathwing. Yeah. They got all their friends to come and basically defend them from this asshole paladin who kept, like, killing them. But I kept on escaping because I had the invisibility trinket.
Yeah.
So I would bubble, turn invisible, run away, and then by which time I was out of combat before the invisibility ran off and I could mount up and run away. And this pissed them off no end. This stealthy paladin is like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, they started gangbanging me by, you know, they were just... If I escaped, all my things were on cooldown for the next, 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah. So I was like, right, that's it. I could bubble hearth, but again, that was it on cooldown for an hour. So I could do loads of things to annoy people, but I could only do it on a sort of a 30-minute timer.
Yeah.
So eventually I went, right, okay, well, these level 60s aren't going to... they're just sticking around then because they know I'm going to be back as soon as they leave. So I just decided to get all the other high-level Alliance players, and we just ended up having huge fights between South Shore and Tarren Mill on the server because we just realised, you know what, this is so much more fun than actually levelling up to 60. Yeah, so because I was a complete arsehole, for the next sort of 6 or 7 weeks, we just ended up fighting between South Shore and Tarren Mill. And it turns out that just because of the mechanics of the game, because South Shore and Tarren Mill is really one of the, other than outside the Night Elf area, right, the starter zone, it's really one of the first tastes where both Horde and Alliance sort of meet for the first time.
Yeah.
But the Horde are like 15 levels lower. The Alliance at that point are like level 40, 41. And the Horde are going there at like level 25. So it creates this kind of unfair balance where the Horde just gets smashed in and they have to bring their mates along to try and help them out. But you also had some really fun fights. For example, for anyone who watches Asmongold, he told the story of this level 40, I think it's like there was like a level 52 warrior or something who was trying to gank the Horde players, and he lost a PvP fight to a hunter who was 20 levels lower. Because the hunter could just kite him forever.
Yeah.
He was just doing the scatter shot and stuff like that. and the pet was just hitting him from behind and dazing him and stuff like that. And I should pay attention to this puzzle I'm doing and actually look at the shapes I'm uncovering rather than just clicking to at random.
It does take a while if you click it randomly.
Yeah. So, you know, you did get those things happening in Classic where if you were a level 50, you'd suddenly get gangbanged by like 7 of the other side who were like level 35 each.
Yeah.
And it turns out you can't take them all out. It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, all of their polymorphs and stuff like that generally all still work.
Yeah. And it's those characters with the kiting talents that kind of like the mages and the hunters that can and that are played well. And I lost like some of the top PvPers were hunters because they had such an amazing toolkit for just, you know, kiting all the melee characters around, regardless of the kind of discrepancy. We've got a guy, Chimona, who was in a hunter in our guild for ages, and then he went on to do quite high level kind of competing PvP. And again, it was just watching him play and thinking, crikey, the way of kind of skirting on the edge of his dead zone as the hunters then had.
Yes.
Yet never allowing anyone actually into it. But they had the short range scatter shot, didn't they, as well? That's kind of as a disorientate.
Yeah, but that dead zone was really crippling for hunters.
Yeah, but they needed it because otherwise it was very difficult to beat a hunter with their full kit.
Of course, now you can just point blank shoot anyone.
Yeah. They did dabble with that kill zone for quite a while, and then eventually just got rid of it in the end.
Now, of course, we're also going back to a lot of other classic mechanics. For example, area effects. So you have some kind of... Do you have some kind of mass dispel for priest?
No, not to start
Do you
with.
have any kind of targeting ring at all on any of your spells? So, for example, warrior, you have the leap.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in classic, there was no maximum range on that leap. So if you went out of the range that you could cast it, it just switched to a red circle with a line through it. Whereas now you can't go past that range. So, you know, it just automatically puts it at maximum range.
Yeah.
So likewise with the hunter had a spell as well that had this kind of range targeting to it.
Yeah, later on when we got Master Spell, when you get it initially, then you had that issue of having to manually kind of
get it at the right range. Yeah.
The interesting one for the priest, although it wasn't the classic, it was the halo, because the halo healed different amounts at different ranges.
Oh, okay.
So it went out to about 30 yards. So at the shortest range, it healed for nothing. Mm-hmm. At its maximum range, it healed for quite a significant amount. So your challenge was, because you had no indicator to stand at this optimal range for most of your raid group and cast the spell. But you just have to learn. And again, and Halo could be done for damage or for healing. So again, the same for Shadow was learning the Immersius fight early on. This was like one of the top fights for Shadow Priests, and the boss would spawn a huge number of adds, and it was learning the precise second to cast this halo so that it would hit the forming adds at the maximum range. And you just picked that up skill because you didn't have add-on things to do it, whereas now there's an add-on that indicates the different rings of area. And again, it's moving back to that part to say, well, actually, it's even an interesting discussion with that is healing without add-ons, because again, they're gone. You're playing whack-a-mole without your add-ons, without necessarily your mouse overs so much to go right. You are literally playing once again with the kind of one hand behind your back going right. You have to choose your spell, choose your target, and get on with it. But having said that, it's not so complicated because really what it consists of is heal the tank and everyone else can fend for themselves.
Perk of being a tank. I mean, let's face it, you still died the most. You still had the biggest repair bill because you were a plate wearer. Like cloth wearers with their no repair bill at all.
So I never realised this for a very long time.
Yeah.
Until someone kind of went, I went, oh, what do you mean your repair bills are 4 times what mine are? Oh, that's a bit unlucky. But you had armour. You know, you took less damage from stuff in the world.
And we could, as warrior, roll need on cloth if we really want.
Yeah, that was the ultimate thing, wasn't it? That was the ultimate discussion, isn't it? As a paladin or whatever else, I can roll on everything. Yes, but you shouldn't.
The thing was, in vanilla, there were, as a paladin, there were some priest items that were best in slot for you.
Yeah. And try having that discussion with loot-hungry players going, yes, I understand it's best for you, but you can also roll on plate. I cannot roll on plate. That's where the discrepancy lies. Choose the next best plate piece first, and let the clothies choose the cloth. Only when they've got the cloth and no one else needs it. But you have this conversation, which is a kind of a very common sense loot life kind of fairness thing. Like, I want it because it's purple. I thought of one of the worst ones was the helm from Illidan, a leather helm that was the best in slot for plate wearing warriors, and the Rose kind of having the same conversation. They're going, no, and to fair, treat it in the same way, saying, look, you can only claim it once the rogues have got it, and being many a meltdown, but it's best. Going, yeah, but life is sometimes about making the fair decision rather than the very best, decision for one particular player. And that's the difficulty of managing these raid guilds. And sometimes it's remembering there are a lot of dysfunctional people in this raid group who all want their bit. And being the raid leader who's kind of feared and respected enough to go, no, these are the rules. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. But we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. I'm hoping that, that a lot of the young children won't stick it out to the end.
And there'll be a lot of people who will quit just because it's a bad game.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. We're in retail. People that like leveling from 0 to 120. Yeah. And that's been made a lot smoother. Where's my character boost?
Like leveling in vanilla is going to take longer 0 to 60 than 0 to 120 in current WoW.
Yep. Crikey, you get some of those levels, like I said, later on. You're like, I'll grind this afternoon and then I'll finish the level tomorrow.
And the thing is, it's not as bad for us, but first time round it absolutely was that bad because we didn't have a clue what we should have been doing, where we should have been leveling.
Nope. So like you said, when you're trying to find those quests, and they really were, rare, and you get some for a lot later on.
You'd find the quest and then you wouldn't know where to complete the quest.
Yeah, well, that was the other part, wasn't it? Somewhere east of there, not east in that particular continent, over on the other one. And that was it then, because there were quests on the Horde side, and you're like, having to go through Horde lands, find the neutral areas.
Well, it was particularly bad for Warlocks because your level... It was either 15 or 20 quests in order to pick up your Void Walker, your tank pet. You had to go into Barons. This was middle of the Horde, and you had to go speak to somebody in Ratchet, I believe, to help do your... Yeah, to go get your Warlock pet. And you just got murdered by every single Horde you saw. That's just how it was.
Sounds fair.
So Warlocks just had it really bad in regards to that. Yeah, if you could stay out of Barons, that would be the best thing ever. I'm sure Barons chat will still be as stupid as it used to be.
Yeah, sounds about right. Well, that's it, because your ganking faction of choice will be Horde.
But you know, the thing about Horde, I mean, because I'm playing Horde at the moment, is you still generally avoid the one-on-one fights. You know, like all of these people who want to gank still will only either jump on someone as they're almost about to die,
Yeah.
or they'll have a couple of rogue friends just in stealth waiting.
Well, you were talking about it earlier when you were talking about doing the pages in Stranglethorn Vale and thinking gank fest zone number 1. And me, I'm thinking I'm just going to avoid that zone because that's like stepwise orc rogue unstealths, and then an undead rogue unstealth, like, and then everyone else piles over because they spotted you and you've been sapped. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a miss.
That was the worst part, wasn't it? Just like
Yeah.
getting sapped or disorientated, just so all of his mates could come over.
Yep.
I mean, that was the whole concept of PvP. You know, it wasn't fair, and you had to you got used to this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That was it. That was the danger, though, of that, and that was the game that.
Yeah, that was the fun about it
Yeah,
as well.
that was you were a world at war. You step into enemy lands, it's dangerous, and it's always that's the kick of a PvP server. Actually, you are on edge because you can be attacked at any time, and it's that element of weirdness. Hence, for me as a PvE softie, I'm not stepping out of my comfort zone unless I'm in a raid group, or unless I absolutely have to. Not until I've got my hands on my pretty purple staff, anyway.
You know, but like vanilla Arathi Basin, one healer just completely wrecked, wrecked that whole fight.
Yep. Hold the blacksmith.
Everyone just ignored the healer at the back. You were just there, just chucking up heals.
Yeah. Positioned just by the healing buff that spawns in that forge in the middle of blacksmith. So you stand right there, and then on the off chance that you do get targeted, step into the heal and run around the back. But yeah, no, people were just generally silly. They just kind of ran from base to base. You just go, right, take 3 bases, defend 3 bases, wait for the other team to start, people just logging off.
I mean, that was the problem with Arathi Basin a lot of the time. You know, Basin would literally start and it'd be 15 against 10.
Yeah.
Because that's what the game did. When there were 10 people in the queue, it started a new basin, and you'd log in, and there'd be 15, you know, well, I was Horde at the time, so there'd be, I was Alliance at the time, there'd be 15 Horde there, and there'd be 10 of you on Alliance going, you going to join at some point? Another one, because there was this thing that Russians used to do, right? Russians used to sign up in groups of 5, and one of them would join, and they go, okay, it looks like it's a pre-made on the other side, and then they just tell all their mates not to join. I don't know.
Well, there was an add-on similar to Looking for Group 1 that would enable you to form groups and sign up together. Yeah,
that was
and get
for
into that.
Ultrat Valley. There was an add-on that made everyone sign up at the same time. But of course, very often you ended up split between 2 Ultrat Valleys there. But if there were 10 of you, you pretty much always got into the same ones.
Yeah.
But if there were 40 of you, it never
defend Stonehearth to win.
But yeah, so there was this thing where you could start as a pre-made. There were like people doing like 10-man pre-mades, and then one of them would join. You'd just see this Russian name join, and you'd be waiting for the other 9 to join, and then after you know, with 10 seconds to go, that guy'd leave, and the other 9, of course, they've all cancelled. Yeah, it used to absolutely ruin Battlegrounds. You know, you'd start off Alterac or Arathi Basin 15 versus 5, and if you leave, you get a deserter debuff for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like you wish to lose or leave.
Yeah.
Where is the neutronium surge?
No, that's it, yeah, because the deserter debuff again, it came in patch 1.5, but it will obviously be there in the classic as it will be.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah,
the deserter
that.
debuff came in as a result of people just rage quitting
Yeah,
or refusing to join when they could see it was a pre-made on the other team.
yeah, or you had the bots and they get kind of reported.
Course, yeah.
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 So
the
many
bots.
bots.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And it took them
yeah.
9 months to a year to even start to deal with the bots.
Yeah.
Like excuse me for belching there. I used to spam chat and just say report AFK, all
Yeah.
these people, because you know you're in Alterac Valley and it was like 40 against 30.
Yep. You see them running constantly into a wall. Not even as smart as they are today.
Well, what they used to do is their little program used to run them down a path that tried to get in combat. So they would stop being AFK if somebody attacked them. And all they had to do is cast one spell and they wouldn't get kicked.
Yeah.
So there was like the bot was kind of like pre-programmed just to go down the main route. And then it would just sort of tab target and try and find an enemy and, you know, cast a dot or something, some instant speed dot. But, yeah, they completely ruined the PvP.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was worse when they did it in Warsong. It's 10 versus 10.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, the Horde only needed one druid to win Warsong, you know.
Yeah. Everyone was just druid versus druid.
You have like 8 people trying to snare this druid, and
Yeah,
no,
and you couldn't stop
No.
the druid. Yeah. That was the thing when you formed. Oh, if you got a fell druid. No, right, okay, you can lose. Or it's going to take an awful lot longer.
Where's my 2 world bosses, damn it?
Ooh, it's the Horde's Unshackle Quest is 25 mana pools.
Very nice. I'm just doing Mechagon, desperately trying to find 2 more rare enemies.
Heading over to the depot is the best because those ones are on a really short spawn. They got the Enforcer, the Nullifier, and Mr. Fix-It. They've got really short spawns.
I suppose if you go back in time, they're pretty short spawns as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Prince.
Especially if it's not a back in time day.
Yes, exactly, yeah, because no one ever does them then.
No.
People have long given up on that.
Yeah, well, no one needs to grind it. I was min-maxing when it first came out, but now, don't need to. Ooh, right, I think that is the hour again, as always. I will leave you to your musings. And how many hours left have we got now? We're now down.
Well, we're officially on 47 hours, isn't it? Because it comes out
Less than-
11 PM.
Yeah, that's
So
it, less
we're
than
on-
2
we're on-
days.
It's pretty scary. It does mean you're going to have to go to your local Asda and get snacks in and supplies.
So, I'm obviously having the 3 children and disabled child, but I've got support on Tuesday, and I've kind of said, don't be offended. But the whole purpose of Tuesday is preparing for 11 o'clock on Tuesday, going. I know some holidays and all kids, but sorry, priorities must. So Wednesday's the tricky one. I've got a physio over. So I'm thinking, I'm sure I can fit you in my gameplay somewhere. But yeah, start early.
I'm sure we'll be having another chat before the actual start.
Your presence
Yep.
is unauthorized.
I mean, that might be. Maybe we do a little chat on the Monday, as it were, and before things get interesting.
I actually don't want to have like a chat like 2 hours before the
No,
start.
not right before. No.
Because you'll just. No, I'm thinking because you're just going to end up crying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the servers will come up and you'll just be crying because they haven't come up.
Yeah.
I don't see things going smoothly. I will obviously be streaming it, but I'm not sure how good of an experience it'll be. It might just, it might just be like, okay, it's not happening tonight. This is getting cut short.
Yeah, one's got to hope that they are aware of the problem and putting fixes in place, and they do appear to be, having, like they were saying, weren't they, that the actual demand on their servers of Classic is quite low. So I'm hopeful. And the question on the forum was today, who would win a three-way brawl between Hogger, Stitches, and a Device Pillager? Well, let me see, Hogger was level 12, Device Pillager was what, level 16? And Stitches was about 23. There we go.
I've got to say, the Defias Pillager, that had one of the biggest ranges, aggro ranges you've ever seen.
Because you were trying to sneak past all those ones at the camp.
And the Fireball had an incredibly slow cast time and did phenomenal damage.
Yep.
Like, I do remember the first time I ever went there on my Paladin. I'm pretty certain I got one shot by it.
Well, you'd be kind of thinking you'd avoided aggro, hadn't you? And you'd be like walking away, having just killed your mob. And then you'd hear it like, and smack. You're like, oh, that hurt.
Because it's not like... It's not like other games nowadays, right? Because when you kill a mob, you mount up.
Yeah.
And in vanilla, you didn't mount up. So you never really noticed that you were still in combat.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing.
Nope. It wasn't until you kind of hit the first fireball, and then you started running, and then you got hit by the second.
It's even worse by the fact that they were humans, so they got low health, they ran off and pulled their mates.
Yep. Well, that's all around a Moonbrook, isn't it? Like, you kind of edged on the corner of Moonbrook, killed one, looking to see if it pulled anything else.
It's why Frost Mages were so good for that, because you were casting Frost Bolts and they were slowed. They couldn't really run that far.
And the Paladins had their
hammer,
stop and run, didn't they?
Well,
they had,
You did pick up the one that slowed you, yes, but also
they had a judgment that stopped them running away. I can't remember what it was. I didn't play Paladin, but yeah.
Yeah, it got reworked later on, but they did indeed have a justice for that.
It was one of the reasons was taking them in stockades.
Mm-hmm.
Getting rid of the main difficulty of actually doing stockades was the fact it was such a tiny dungeon with so many mobs in such a small area.
Finally, third rare mob. But oh no, I will thoroughly enjoy Classic. There's no doubting I'm going to enjoy it.
Here's a comment: the face you make when Ironforge once again becomes true capital of the Alliance and not Stormwind.
Yeah, it's you only ever went to Stormwind to actually craft stuff, because the actual crafting quarters in Stormwind was pretty good.
Yeah.
But like as a paladin, I never went to Stormwind to learn new spells.
Right.
You know, if I was relatively close to either, it was Ironforge all the way because it's a circle. It was just easy to run
It was such
around.
a much more convenient location
Much easier
to
than
get to
going to the
everything.
cathedral at the back.
Yeah,
Plus, Ironforge was nearer the boats for actually
Yeah.
getting across the water. It went for when you wanted to do Scarlet Monastery.
yeah. It was just a way better, and that's why it was everyone gathered in Ironforge, and Stormwind was desolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Stormwind was also just unwieldy.
Yeah,
You know, it was too big for its own good. I mean, it was made as an epic city. You know, like when you went into Stormwind, the music started, you know, dun 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 dun, dun, and it's like you felt like, wow, this place is huge. Whereas you went into Ironforge and it was like homely. Everything was really sort of close in together with each other. And you got lost running around in the circle because you were looking for one thing. You were looking for like the explorer's wing or whatever, and you just ran past it, not realizing because you were like, "Oh, was that it?" So, you know, they were complete sort of chalk and cheese, those two cities, with how they were designed. But with all that said, both of them were a million times better than Undercity.
yeah.
You know, like the Horde just never went near that place.
No.
Oh,
Trying
that
to
was
find your way around that particular layout. It's all circular on multiple levels. What?
it was completely empty.
That was one of the main reasons why I didn't bother leveling Horde in the end. I made my one Horde character. Went, that's enough for that. Thank you. It has to be said now, most of the Alliance zones just have a way better layout that things, whereas it seemed a lot more random in the Horde areas.
I mean, I think I liked Orgrimmar. You know, that again, though, it was very annoying having to go up and down the lift all the time. This is what a lot of people forget. It's like, you don't have flying anymore.
No.
Orgrimmar's turned into an annoying zone again.
Yes. Oh, I've got a guide for the room. Oh, there we go. Chapter 0 to 6, Elwyn Forest. Accept a threat from within. Accept Kobold Camp Cleanup. Accept Pelt Skinner. Oh dear lord.
Assistance protocol activated.
Okay, that's a bit too detailed. I just wanted a rough idea of the zone, the recommended zone.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use the leveling guides.
No.
Um,
Standing by.
I think it's just the occasional obvious choices.
I can remember enough of the game to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I
absolutely.
will occasionally use like Thoughtbot
Yeah.
or something. It's just like, where was this quest again?
That's it, because occasionally it is not clear where the item drops that you're looking, or what mob it drops from.
Though I think I will be good for any zone up to Lakeshire.
Yeah.
And then I think after Lakeshire is possibly when my memory starts getting a little bit hazy in regards to where we should go. I think I can remember all the Badlands stuff because, you know,
that
a
was
good zone I loved.
that was fairly self-explanatory, apart from the occasional kind of repeatable
I think
stuff.
with Badlands it'll be more the where you pick the quests up. I think it's not so much like where you fight the mobs as to you've just completely dodged these quests.
Yeah, a lot of them were like, you know, triggered from drops and stuff as well. There was a hub there which was fairly clear, but then there's like stuff around the bottom of Badlands that you kind of pick up as you go, and a lot of kind of dropped items that trigger things. But yeah, I was going here. So for me, it's like Dunmurra, just to get to the level to get out of the zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be Loch Madan, and then Westfall, and then Loch Madan. Wetlands, Duskwood.
You actually get a quest in Lochmadan. You're given a package to deliver to Stormwind.
Yeah. Well, I was
And
just
then
gonna,
that puts you on the Lakeshire quest chain.
Yeah, that's quite good actually because there's a lot of cross in terms of that. I wonder if it's similar to that human and dwarf. That's not going to be, is it?
I know humans, you get a quest to deliver a package or a note or something to somebody, I think, at the top end of Dunmorrow before, and then that sends you through to Wetlands afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's fairly similar for all of them in that. So this one, the humans, gives Elwyn Forest, and then because obviously that takes you up to.
Then you go to Westfall.
Yeah, well, you can go for. It might work from this that because the route here, obviously, once you've cleared Elwyn Forest, that gives you access to Stormwind and the tram, and obviously when I get rid of Dunmorrow, that then gives me access to Ironforge and the tram, so we can kind of swap either zone at that point.
I think the alliance, the human zones are just so much better.
Well, this basically rotates between the human and the better dwarfs on one. So it goes Elwyn Forest for you, Dunmorrow for me, and then it says Dunmorrow, and then Lochmadan, and then Westfall. I mean, I think you can do either Lakeshore or into Westfall or Lochmadan into Westfall. I think because we're both familiar with either of those zones, so it doesn't really make much difference. Yeah. But as it rightly said, Westfall tails off fairly quickly. Then it's this one suggests
right, but you get to do Westfall though, but then you get to do the dungeon in Westfall.
Yes,
and then from there you can go straight to Darkshire.
Yeah, it's just all depends on the. Darkshire's an awkward one as well because I was doing this in the beta, in that the early part of Darkshire works
it's
well.
Low level, yeah, and then you go back there 10 levels later. In fact, there's a quest chain that takes you out of Darkshire, sends you to 3 other places.
Yes,
and then
that's
you finish
Holy
it back
Relic
in
one.
Darkshire. That's right, yeah.
But that quest is quite long because of the amount of travel.
Absolutely, yeah, but you start it at like level 16 or something like that, or 18, and you're finishing it at level 29.
Yeah, roughly. To make the Holy Relic to kind of kill
Stitches,
the mage.
and then you kill Stitches halfway through it, and then
Stitches isn't a quest for the Alliance. It's a quest for the Horde. For the Alliance, is a hazard. But there's there's a mage up on the hill near the graveyard. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah,
there's a quest for him.
I can remember his name.
But you
begins
with them.
Yes.
That's
Give me a second because it's Mordla Dim.
That's So it was similar to Warladder, but not exactly the same. You get an offhand to kind of debuff him. But in this offhand, you have to go all around the place to make, including the harbour bit. Can't remember the name of that one either now.
Menethil Harbour.
Yeah, Menethil. Yeah, all around that place, which is
wetlands.
You hit that bit kind of past the level for it. So I think it's just having an idea of not leveling past, so you're going past the optimal part, because once the quest turn green, it's really slow. So I quite like the way it's laid out.
Somebody in Mechagon just got on their long boy.
Hey,
so
happy boy.
Let's just have a quick scan of the auction house. Go on, what you saying?
So I was looking at this again. Yeah, So Westfall, Lochmadan, Wetlands, into Duskwood, into Redridge, Ashenvale. Oh.
Ashenvale. I'm not going Night Elves. You can forget that.
Yeah, and that's
no way I'm going anywhere near Night.
I'd just go back to Duskwood.
I just do stockades a few times.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it, as well? So again, this is the problem for us, that as we do get past some of this as well. Anyway, So
Like,
I guess take
let's
this
not
with it.
obsess over any night elf zones. God no.
Thinking surely by the time you've got there and got back, I know you got half
There's
an
only
but even
one
so.
reason to ever go to a night elf zone, and that's when you get to about level 46, 47, and you want that chance at that sweet epic BOE drop staff.
Yeah.
I forget its name, but everyone always wanted it.
To be fair, I mean, there's certain bits that it's the elite mobs, where if you've got some easy to farm elite mobs, that gives you a slightly higher chance of getting it. But again, I don't think I'd bother trying to farm it.
But it did have like a pretty big drop rate in that zone for some reason.
It was just
That's
around
Jordan, wasn't it? That was the one.
Yeah, it's just around Diamond, the mobs around it that were like easy to kill ogre elites. And
the
things.
ogres, yeah. I mean, they were fantastic, and there was a couple of quests on those ogres as well. Only a couple, not much. Yeah. But it just wasn't worth spending an hour travelling over there, because you did that, and if the other faction was there killing you, then you were done. So you could only do it in a group of 5.
Yeah, so here's the difference now. Looking at all these, Searing Gorge, like 46 to 47. You know, in the current now, you do a zone, and there's like you're there 4 or 5 levels, and now it's like 1 or 2.
Yeah, Searing Gorge was a great zone. I loved Searing Gorge. I didn't love all the spiders.
No.
Because I had a mount at that point, and they were just like, web.
Yep.
web. You couldn't go anywhere without getting webbed by a spider.
Yeah, see, Ungoro. I liked Ungoro again. It was another interesting story one, but it was just...
It was too big and too unwieldy.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy collecting the crystals, which was one of the first quests you got
and the pylons, and then realising you were at the wrong pylon.
Now,
and all the pylons.
The Link quest chain was pretty good, where you finished with the Link sword, or Lincoln sword,
Lincoln,
his name. That was good, and there was also a secret quest there, I think, as well.
There were a few, and you had the Timber Moors, of course.
That's how I grinded. Funnily enough, I say that I hated the Night Elf zones, and this was one of the reasons, because I used to grind Timbermoor Hold.
Yep.
I think, in fact, we grinded there together.
Yeah, we did quite a bit.
We ground there together. We grinded there together. Because the cool thing was, it was shared rep. So somebody else in the group killed one, you got rep.
Yeah. And those 5 waters sold well.
Oh, I loved the increasing your size. That was just hilarious. It was like, doing it in PvP, it was just like, kill me. He was just putting a big target on you. Like, let's go for the guy who's twice as big as anyone else. It was just like you would click that character.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. You want to go engineering just to get like the world enlarger. I think that was in vanilla, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You definitely there's things there's some really sort of fun engineering trinkets. Like, the thing about vanilla was the whole game was serious. Like, it was serious business, unless you were an engineer, at which case it was just like, I'm gonna screw around and do stupid shit.
Yep.
I'm going to click this button, and all of a sudden I'm going to blast 100 yards up in the air because it's backfired on me.
Nothing beats the fact you can shrink raid bosses and freak out your raid who didn't realise early on what it actually did.
Well, the worst one I ever did, so in vanilla, when the holidays came around, there was a holiday, the Spring Festival holiday, where you got like an offhand bunch of roses that you could sprinkle on bosses. And me and my mate Adam, again, we were in the vanilla guild, so Adam cast the used this engineering trinket or something that doubled the boss's size. There was one that made the boss bigger. Yeah, he just grew. And then I cast this one that caused petals to rain down, these rose petals to rain down on the boss. And they rained down the hugest petals you've ever seen that just filled the screen. Nobody could see. And basically the guild leader Silt said, right, okay, if anyone does that again, they're getting banned. But the thing was, the rose petals was an offhand item, so I just cast it and switched my weapon, and they never knew where it was coming from. Like, I was a complete arsehole in vanilla.
Oh, dear.
And the thing is, me and Adam, we never not did it. And they, you know, they had sort of, this was before, like, pouring through logs was really a thing.
Yeah.
You know? You couldn't really, like, check logs to see who did what.
Yeah, like trying
it just
to
kind of scrolled off the screen so fast. Nobody had an add-on that sort of saved the logs.
Who clicked the loot, yes, and made everyone dance.
But likewise, that was another one. You know, we'd do a fight, and we'd killed the boss, and it would be in Molten Core, and it'd be on group loot, and like the raid leader would be like, shh,
Yeah.
nobody click everyone pass right now. Anyone who doesn't pass is getting guild kicked.
Yeah, that's happened a few times. Know that.
And they weren't joking about this as well.
No, and and we all know the story. There'll be a point where, oh, click it. I didn't mean to. Yeah, kick you anyway. Or message the GM to try and move the loot. But you both have to then message him. I clicked it by accident. I need it.
It's true. Yeah, I do remember that. GMs used to message me and say, like, they haven't said it's not theirs.
Yeah. Right, anyway, enough after bed's given me.
Lovely. You have a good evening, and we'll pick this up maybe tomorrow at some point. We'll see.
Sounds like a plan.
It's not like we've got anything else better to do, is it? Well, we're waiting, really.
Yeah, there's no rush for anything else once it starts. Right, good night. Good night all.
So, what is left for me to do? Random islands, perchance? No, I think what I will do is go... Oh, no, apparently nothing's done there. Another 2 hours on that one. Yeah, seems a good place to wrap these things up for me as well, I think. So, as you're obviously aware, as I record this, we are now 46 hours. I was thinking it was one whole day. It's not. It's still 2 whole days. We are now 46 hours away from the release of Classic WoW. It will come out at 11 PM UK time, so we may not be playing too much into the early hours, but we'll certainly be playing it for a few hours. And I will be doing plenty of streaming it. Basically, any time I'm playing Classic WoW, I will be streaming Classic WoW, either with Craig or with Ivan or any of the other guild members we'll be playing with at a time. When I'm with Craig, I'll be on my warrior, and he will be on his priest. When I'm not with Craig, I will probably be on my mage first and foremost, though possibly hunter on the side as well. Obviously you're all, anyone wants to join up, we're more than welcome to pop along. We'll be on Golemag on EU PvP on the Alliance side. And it's looking like a fairly balanced server at the moment, but we'll see how that works out in the end. But yeah, it seems like a good place to wrap this up for the moment. Feel free to leave any comments on the YouTube video, and obviously you're more than welcome to follow. We have a Discord channel. Obviously you can join. We also have the Facebook and the Twitters. And of course, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can follow on Twitch, and if you're watching it on Twitch, you can follow on YouTube. And likewise, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, you're more than welcome to pop on Discord sometime if you ever want to have a chat on stream. If you got any funny stories you want to share, you're more than welcome to come along for that. So thanks a lot for watching. And I shall see you all, hopefully, assuming my internet holds out, I'll see you all tomorrow as well.